Welcome to BackChat with a parenting fail today, Dan.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think
that.
parenting, I want to ask your advice. Tried to teach Nash how to ride a bike today.
Yep.
Had the training wheels on the side.
Good start.
Good looking bike. You saw it on the way
Yeah.
in.
Better than my bike.
It's actually too good looking
Probably
for
fit
a
it
first
too.
bike.
Nash is a mountain.
So chucked him on, got him going, doing really well. Pedaling, steering.
Helmet on?
Yeah, helmet. Yeah, hang on. No, I'm not a psychopath. Calm down.
Yes.
Right. So he goes down a hill, and it's not a big hill, but I thought, all right, I see him starting to crash. And in my mind, I think I can either grab him, I was close enough to grab him, or do I let him crash and just let him learn about
Fight or flight.
get back on the horse.
Yeah, sure.
Or the bike. Crashed badly, quite a big crash.
Tears?
My wife will be hearing this for the first time. Yeah, it was a big crash. Tears, splinters all through his hands. Did not go well.
Were you taking him down to the timber yard or something?
It was like he crashed into, there was a bark on someone's side avenue.
Yep.
And anyway, did I fail there letting him crash? Should I have caught him?
Oh, look, you had the helmet on. That's look, kids.
No knee pads and elbow, but I'm not.
Yeah, no,
I don't work for the ABC.
No, you didn't. I think you did the right thing.
All right.
He's a tough kid.
Okay, he is.
Yep, he's a Schofield.
All right, we'll give you an update next week on BackChat, see how that's progressing.
How's the pedaling going? Good?
No, it's going well.
Yeah,
He's
good.
going well. I had to push him for the entire rest of the journey, and then I had to carry the bike for the way back. So it did not go well. Anyway, BackChat, here we are. Welcome. As we've been saying the last couple of weeks, we've redone our social handles. So to our graphic designer, Sam's disgust, we
Hates it.
are at BackChat __ across Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit. Look, I don't know what goes on over there. Like,
Just leave it to me. Forget about it.
didn't you get banned from Reddit?
I'm back.
You're back.
Yeah.
You got banned.
I got banned.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. So I've been posting again. First thing I did as soon as my ban was lifted, posted more BackChat
It seems
content.
like a strange community that you get banned for posting things that people would be interested in. It doesn't
it's
seem like
self-promotion. You can't do it apparently. So yeah,
Self-promotion.
sure. Let's just repost other people's things. That makes sense. Whatever.
So when you got banned,
Bit
we
of
actually said, okay, Dan can't post. We'll get Charlie to post.
Yep.
What have you done there, Charlie? Yeah, how'd you go with that? You go quite well?
So I posted one thing and immediately I get a message saying something like you're on probation or something. We're watching you.
Suspension. I think you got to.
Why? How do they know? How
suspension or
do they know you're with BackChat?
Now, here's my theory about this is,
I know.
first of all, is my
Hang on.
username.
There's
Yeah,
no
here we go.
theory.
This is it.
Why did you
the
say
obvious.
say your theory
No,
first?
my theory is because, so Dan and I have both posted, and I've actually posted BackChat videos from 2 different accounts.
Oh.
And we've all interacted with each other's posts.
Yeah, it's
So
like
there's-
catfish.
it's a web.
Yeah,
it's
and so
catfish.
they've identified the network.
Right. So that's one theory. What
Yeah.
would the other possibility be, Charlie?
It possibly could be because my Reddit name is BackChat Charlie.
Yeah, that's probably why. And they're like, oh, BackChat. There you go.
So Dan gets banned from Reddit, and if you're not involved in Reddit, neither am I. So don't worry too much. But Charlie tells me he's been banned from Reddit. What's your username, Charlie? BackChat Charlie.
Yep.
I made it before Dan was banned.
How'd you come up with that, Charlie?
It took me a while, actually.
Oh boy. Okay, so we're on Reddit. That's doing that thing. You can email us, hello@backchatpodcast.com.au. We're on YouTube. You're watching us right now if you're on YouTube. You're listening to us. You can find us on YouTube. You can watch us. Pretty sure it's just BackChat.
If
How do you find it?
Yeah, that's right. If you're not sure what I look like, and you've only ever seen the illustration that we were given once to make it look like I'm Clark Kent and musclier and more handsome than you, it's close, but the size is not completely accurate.
If you have seen what Dan looks like, it would have been either from YouTube or the one photo that's ever been used by Dan Const. What is it? Something? Is it like the guy from How I Met Your Mother that he only takes good photos? You know,
I've never seen
Barney.
the series.
Thank you, Charlie. You've
Yeah.
never seen the series.
No,
It's a weird one to miss.
I'm waiting for How I Met Your Father, the
it's already
reboot.
out.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
okay, definitely not watching.
That's a
it.
thing.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
made a reboot.
It's got Hillary Duff in it.
Oh, definitely watching
Holy
that.
shit.
Big fan of Hillary.
I love BackChat intros. They're just great. So anyway.
Someone took a photo of me about 4 years ago, and it's the only photo I've ever used for all of my profiles.
So Sam, our graphics designer, said, well, he didn't really, but he said, can we get some new photos of Dan? I said, great. So you sent another one through. It was taken 5 years later. It looks exactly the same as the one 5 years before. You've got the same face, same facial hair, everything.
Same glasses.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all right. Patreon. Look, we've got some nice little bonuses coming along for the Patreon crew. Ticked over 100 subscribers, 100 patrons.
Yeah, it's big areas. All thanks.
Do you know who number 100 was? The guys behind the cams don't. Do you?
Yeah, we were both, all three of us were there when it happened.
We're building a great little team here at BackChat, and I couldn't be more thankful for the guys helping us out, put this all together. Indy started helping with some of the socials we're putting out there. Indy's the 100th subscriber.
Yeah.
And she hasn't come tonight. She's not here.
That's okay.
For me to give her shit, because that's what I would have done.
We had a little video conference where we were just giving some handover notes, and we were like, oh, we're on 99. She goes, tell you what, I'll flick you over to 100.
All right, if you want to get on Patreon, if you want to become a patron, support the podcast, you can subscribe to Patreon. You can find that on our website, backchatpodcast.com.au. That'll also lead you into a bit of fantasy action, which may or may not sound a little bit interesting if you don't know what I'm talking about, but you can do that, and we do really appreciate all the support we've been getting from those guys. So get over 100.
The fantasy tournament's going to be elite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've joined for that reason, you've done good.
We're still working on a camera for Charlie and the crew behind the cameras right now. I would like to make that happen in the next couple of weeks, Dan. Is that possible? A camera? For the lovely people putting this together for us?
Sure. I will.
You sound ecstatic about that. Okay, we're going to try that. Whippersnapper's still with us. They're exclusive whiskey suppliers of the podcast.
And we're going through it. It's that good.
I've got to be honest, didn't think we'd be drinking it as quickly as we are. Had a bit of a discussion about the end of the podcast. They seem to be loosening up a little bit. Going through about half a bottle of whiskey an episode.
Mother's milk, as they say.
Very smooth stuff from Whippersnapper.
Very good.
They're in East Perth, so right around the corner from your work.
Yep, and they're literally open from like 8 or 7 to 5.
They've been treating you very well.
Yep, and you can go there for coffees all day. And a little tipple of whiskey if you feel up to it.
Yeah, okay. Very good. And the last one just on this intro, Beers with BackChat. Indy's not here, but she's going to put a poll up on Instagram. You got to have a look at our Instagram profile, BackChat _. We want to know who's interested in Beers with BackChat. I want expressions of interest. I want EOIs.
Can we also put in a night?
It may have to be beer. It might have to be whiskeys with BackChat also, but
yep, that's fine.
A night. So okay, so are you interested? Yes or no? And you would like, these are the dates.
Yeah.
Are you available?
Yeah. Look, if no one's going to come on a Monday when we usually record this podcast, we're not going to do it on a Monday.
Well, we're not doing it on Monday. I'll tell you that right now because we're recording.
Yeah, there you go.
So Mondays are out.
Yes, but I'm just there's 7 days to pick from. Of course,
well, I just wanted to let people know that it's well and truly on the agenda of the BackChat family, beers / whiskies with BackChat.
Yep. Why? Can we put a date on it by a certain date?
Well, no, the polls are out this week.
Okay. All right.
So get the polls in. We get the interest. If no one writes back, we won't do beers with BackChat. I've got a little inkling that there could be some interest in a couple of beers with BackChat.
Yes, definitely can.
Okay, all right. So let's get to this week of sport and all of that. I'm going to start with NFL. Is that all right?
It's the time of the year.
Super Bowl's coming up in a couple of weeks. Had the prelims, effectively, the championships, the AFC and NFC championships. Who's going to be in the Super Bowl? The LA Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals.
First time in 33 years.
Yeah, they're like the Frio Dockers of the NFL, Sammy and Charlie. Not Sammy, Charlie. Sorry,
Yes.
Sam. Charlie, you going for Cincinnati? They're like the Frio Dockers.
I guess I'll have to now.
I don't think they've won a flag. I don't think they've won a premiership. I don't think they've won a Super Bowl. Charlie will check that right now.
That.
But they've come from the wilderness a little bit. They won 4 games last year. So there's 16 games in an NFL season. They were bad. They were very bad last year. Their quarterback did his ACL, but he's back, and we love him. And he could actually be a bit of a BackChat kind of guy. He's a kind of guy.
Yeah, LSU quarterback.
Yeah.
Heisman winner. Just the coolest guy ever.
He won the college championship and proceeded to smoke cigars in the locker room post.
Yeah, very cool.
Some of these guys are kids.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
As they say.
Smoking Joe. I think we should get around him here at BackChat. I think he could be the guy we get around.
Not interested in the Rams.
Cincinnati ever won a Super Bowl?
They have not. But there are apparently about a dozen NFL teams that haven't.
Okay, yeah. There's like 32 teams, so it's different to the AFL, but they're still like the Dockers. And the other team, LA Rams, that's Matt Stafford as the quarterback. He's got a bit of a weird story. Come from another team, Detroit. Everyone used to bet, like, Detroit's been very bad for a very long time, and he's been their quarterback for a very long time. Always thought it was Stafford's problem. Moves to a new team, first year, new team, Super Bowl.
Yep.
Going to be a good game.
The 49ers, I know we don't usually get into too much sport, but the 49ers sort of choked it a bit.
Yeah, they butchered it. Jimmy Garoppolo used to be little Tom Brady's little understudy.
Yep.
Had the opportunity to take a game-winning drive, win the game for his team, butchered it.
Yep. And also on defense, they dropped a pretty easy interception that would have probably put them in a position to win the game.
We're going to have a little bit of betting element. I've been teasing it over the last couple of weeks. We're going to do some fun bets. So Super Bowl, the NFL, they have a week off after the last week of finals, and then they play the Super Bowl. So next week, we'll have some little multis on the Super Bowl, I think.
Let's do that. Let's kick it off with a good one with the Super Bowl.
Joey Burrow's going to be our boy, though.
Yeah,
tell you that right
100%.
Now, you may or may not have been watching the tennis over the weekend. Ash Barty, of course. Very good stuff from the Aussie legend. Humble, gracious winner. Represents everything that Australians want to be.
But on the court, just Terminator.
Yeah,
just destroyed every opponent.
So let's put that in one side. The other side is the Special K boys, so Kyrgios, Kokkinakis, and Medvedev. Look, Medvedev didn't win against Nadal, but I put them all in the same box. They're all character-driven guys. Now, people hate them. Do you hate them? How do you feel about them as sports people, those three people?
So Nick Kyrgios, he can do whatever he wants. He's very successful.
Yeah.
He's made a lot of
No,
money.
he's not going to ask
tennis.
Dan what he's going to do.
I just wish that, he was just a little bit better.
As a person or a guy?
No, player. I feel like he's so talented. I just wish, I don't know if it's a commitment thing, a mental thing. He just, seems like he doesn't have the same sort of chutzpah as, some of the big dogs.
He doesn't seem like he has the commitment, but maybe that's just him. That's what I've kind of been saying is maybe that's just athletes, and we want insight. We want to see what makes them tick. We want more. And Kyrgios and Medvedev, you can see them. They're right there. They sook when they lose points. They carry on with the umpire.
Yep.
I know that's not ideal role modeling for kids. It's not a great look for the sport at times, but it's also who they are. So... I don't know.
Because didn't Kyrgios say once when he was in the US Open, he's like, if I win the US Open, I'll never play tennis again.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Kyrgios has said a lot of things as well, though. He runs his mouth a bit, but I don't mind it. It's who he is.
I do love, and I think he has obviously had success in the doubles. I think he just needs an extra hype man. He needs that guy to help him out. And they...
Sorry, there was a fly.
Yeah, there was a fly. Very entertaining with doubles. What I want to talk to you about tennis is, though, something that I noticed, and Kyrgios does it a little bit, Medvedev complained a couple of times, just the silence factor of tennis, right? So the crowds get rowdy, especially when Kyrgios is on the court, when they're playing. What's that arena when you sort of just pay a $10 fee?
Yeah, in the around the grounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside courts.
Why do we let tennis players get away with needing the crowd to be quiet? So you've played in front of 100,000 people.
I actually don't get it. I actually don't understand.
You're playing a sport. There's a crowd there, and it's the same with golf. You got to be quiet.
There's a tradition.
There's a tradition, but is it concentration? Can you not concentrate unless you're silent? That seems like a bit of a cop-out.
That's what I've heard from tennis players is they need to hear the way the ball comes off the racket. Well, it's not anything different to cricket. No one's asking for silence as the spinner's coming into bowl.
Yep.
Would have been good to ask Mitch Johnson last week if, as a bowler or a batter, it would be any advantage if the crowd was silent. I would think it's worse. You've seen what happens in crowds over in the AFL when they cull them because of COVID. The quality of the game goes down.
Yeah.
So maybe we should actually get some games going in the tennis, in golf. They have
crowds are hyped.
Yeah. See what happens. I think they're precious.
In basketball, when the home team is shooting free throws, usually it's dead quiet. And that for me just feels unsettling.
Oh, they do the old reverse.
They're just but when it's opponent, they're cheering, booing, and stuff. I don't know the mental side behind that, but just I don't know. Are we letting them get away with being too quiet? Is it a bit soft?
The traditionalists will say that the quietness from the crowd is about respect for the game and the teams and the players and the umpires. I think let them go. I'm glad you agree with me on this. I thought you'd actually be on a bit of hush. Let's respect the game.
Yeah, watch the darts. Man, that's insane.
It's not
They
very.
got to concentrate. They got to hit a tiny little target.
Yeah, they also drink and get as drunk as possible and smoke as many darts as possible to be able to get himself in focus.
That's fine.
Do you okay with this? Like, this is very, very un-Dan-like. It's
What?
Not very within the rules to be yelling out while people are serving and
It's the different.
umpires.
I don't want someone to like, as they're about to serve, go like, "You're a dick," or like, I don't know, like that sort of stuff. I'm not about that, but just the crowd like applause and stuff.
I think you'll find it difficult to police that if you say to crowds, "Hey, do what you like," but also don't put people off.
Yeah.
I think if you give them a license, they're going to take it and run
All right,
with it.
well then it can go for both people.
All right. Just finishing off on the tennis, Ash Barty. I don't know if you've seen this or not. She had a picture with the trophy. It's not the Rod Laver trophy. It's a different type of trophy, isn't it, Charlie? But it was a photo like right post game, and she's holding a beer. Like great Aussie girl drinking a beer.
Probably hasn't had a beer in months.
Aussie girl drinking a beer. It's a bloody Corona.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that.
depends. Is that what she likes? Maybe
Look,
she's been hanging out for a Corona.
I
for
put
months.
it on BackChat. I was given some feedback that that's what she does like. She's a Corona girl, apparently.
Okay.
I feel bad for Ash Barty. Like, that is just I said the words, it's cat's piss. If you need a lime to put with your beer, it's probably not a great tasting beer because you're just drinking lime.
You've been
with
going
a bit
on.
of, what?
You've been going on about me. Maybe not. This isn't like me, wanting the crowd. To be honest, it's not like you to care what other people want to do.
Sorry?
Well, if she wanted to have a Corona, so be it. Who cares?
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to die on this hill either.
What if she doesn't really love beer?
I would
and she
just be
wanted
very
to have one?
surprised if that's her favourite beer. No one's favourite beer is Corona.
A lot of people love Corona.
Why?
Vin Diesel.
Do you?
I hate Coronas.
Diesel.
Yeah, isn't he like,
I know who Vin Diesel
yeah, but
is.
I'm pretty
mate.
sure he has that written into his contracts that like he gets Coronas in Fast and Furious. Like he's always like Coronas family. Like I don't know, it's just the two words that he says. I'm sure he loves Corona.
And
Look
on
it up.
that
Jai,
note-
look it up. Corona Vin
No,
Diesel
no.
contract.
What did I ask you for? The name of the trophy.
So it's Daphne Akehurst Memorial Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
Yep.
I think you are right though that he does have some contract thing.
Yeah.
It's in all of the Fast and Furious.
We're talking about Vin Diesel.
Yeah, Vin Diesel always has a Corona in his hand in these
Yeah.
movies. Yeah.
That is just hilarious. Good marketing. Terrible beer.
Yeah.
That's why they need to do that because it's a terrible beer and they're trying to bluff people into thinking it's a good beer. Now, let's pivot into fantasy.
Yes.
Been speaking about this a little bit. If you want to join the BackChat's Fantasy League for your chance to win 2 grand final tickets to the 2022 AFL Grand Final.
It's a stupid price. It's stupidly good.
Thank you. I was like, hang on a second, mate.
No, it's dumb. It's dumb that we're giving away 2 grand final tickets. I
Yeah,
can't
it
believe
is a little bit dumb, but I think it's worth it. I think we can build a little bit of a community. It'll be a bit of fun throughout the year. So to join, you need to be a Patreon. You need to be a patron on Patreon. Why do I get them confused all the time? Very different things.
You're an athlete.
Whack. Very good. Thank you. So you got to sign up to Patreon. So you got to sign up to Patreon and be a patron.
Yeah.
So you can do that on the website,
Yes.
backchatpodcast.com.au. You can do that on any of our socials. Got a few links that float around there. You can find that there. So you sign up, $5 a month. That gives you the opportunity to win grand final tickets. I think it's a pretty good deal.
$5 a month over 6 months. The duration of the AFL season is $30 at a chance to win grand final tickets. And if you're that good at fantasy, you've got a good chance.
How much length have you got to that microphone over there, Charlie?
I think this is a 4-meter cable.
Are you able to pass it over to Kat by any chance? Now, talking about fantasy, I have asked all of the members of this podcast to join up. Have you joined up, Dan?
I have, yes.
Have you? Don't lie to me.
Remember I told you my team name. You loved it.
Sam, have you signed up? Are you signing up right now? You
He's on his phone.
He hasn't signed up. Kat, have you signed up?
I've downloaded it.
Kat has downloaded the app.
Okay.
So she
Step
doesn't
one.
know she doesn't know the league login though because she's not a
Not
patron.
That's fine.
And
I
I
think we can give the
I need
team.
a name. I need to decide on a name.
Okay, this is Kat. Kat's doing a lot of our camera switching. She's involved in the back end with Charlie. She's a producer. She's an absolute gun. Kat needs a fantasy name.
Okay, help her out.
All right, there you go.
Generally, it's
put it in
usually like
somewhere.
a football pun or a player's name or something like that.
Yeah, you need to build the team, and to do that, you need the league code, and to do that, you need to be a patron on Patreon. So, get going, Kat. There's 39 teams in there, Dan.
I mean, I've got one for her. Coming right up. Geelong Cat. Geelong Cats. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, Charlie's at
That's
number
an
one.
option.
All right, that's an option. That's option.
That's one to beat.
It's not a good option.
This is
Okay,
coming from.
Sammy says it's not a good option.
This is coming from the man who's named his Reddit username as BackChat Charlie.
Poll on Instagram.
All right,
Yeah, we'll
poll on
let's do a poll on
Instagram. All right,
Instagram.
someone write that down. Let's get that
Charlie?
going. So there's 39 teams in our league on AFL Fantasy. We'll do a cull of anyone that's not a patron. Just so if you're listening along, you've snuck in there, you've somehow got the league code from a mate, passed it on. You're not a patron.
But the best thing is,
you
you know what
can't,
we're going to do?
one, or I can delete anyone I want. And what's the other best thing?
No, the best thing is that we will literally wait till the final. Like, if you
Second,
win,
yeah.
no, if
Oh,
you win
we'll leave 'em
and
in.
you're not a patron for the duration,
Okay.
then sorry.
Okay, we will know, and it's not that hard to find out. So sign up to Patreon. It's not that hard. And yeah, thank you.
Yep, too easy.
Happy with that? Before I finish on fantasy,
Yes.
Selby Lastia, he's won in 2017, 2018. Moira's Magic.
He won the whole.
Oh yeah, he won 2 cars in a row. So he knows what he's doing. He runs Moira's Magic. They're Australia's leading fantasy suppliers of information, right? He runs a little private subscription service where you can get the lowdown on how to sign up, how to do your thing. Kat, I'd be signing up ASAP because it sounds like you know nothing about fantasy. But that's all right. Moira's Magic, Selby the Steer. He'll be joining us on BackChat quite regularly for some little nuggets of fantasy. You happy with that?
Love it, because I'm going to need it.
Yes, you are. Yeah, look. I don't hold great hopes for the members of the BackChat podcast community, including myself. I don't think I'll win it, but I will be entering. And if I do win it, I'll be taking the tickets. Just so you know, this isn't like you can't win it if you're involved because there's no advantage. I can't dock to the scores. I think fair game. Well, I can't play. Stop looking at me like
I haven't said a word.
I know. I can see in your eyes. All right, that's enough for fantasy. That's it. You know what coming up next? You know what we have coming up next if I can speak properly.
I know, but they don't.
Tom Barrass on BackChat, live in studio. First player for a while that's still on the list. We've done a lot of ex-athletes, ex-players.
Last one since Oscar Allen.
Yeah.
Sorry, first one since Oscar Allen. You know what? I'm going to do it now. Just keep me accountable. We do have Oscar Allen on tape, on video, ready to go.
Should we release that on YouTube?
We'll do a release on YouTube, even though it's old and people probably listen to the podcast. We'll put it up on YouTube.
All right, Tom Barrass coming up. All right, very excited. Joined in studio in the BackChat hub, den, cellar, whatever we're calling this thing. By Cave, none other than West Coast Eagle, current listed West Coast Eagle, Tom Barrass.
Thank you for having me, Will and Dan.
How are you, mate?
I'm very, very well, thank you.
Now, I want to see how well you can park your media training, and we want to get the real Tom Barrass out here today. Is that possible?
Yes, that is
It's good.
possible.
It's good. It's good. So we are very happily supported by Whippersnapper. I do want to mention that off the top. Have you ever had Whippersnapper whiskey?
No, I haven't, but
We've had to keep
I
you
must.
off it today because you are in training. I'm assuming that's a big disappointment for you.
No, mate, I'm happy with my waters. I'm just keen to get into it.
But you'd be happier with Whippersnapper
I would
whiskey.
be happier with Whippersnapper whiskey,
There you go.
without a doubt. And once I have it, I'll be able to recommend it for sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah, good.
Well, just
that
hear it from us. You trust
Great.
me, don't you?
I trust you, Will, most of all.
Do you trust me?
As my third row defender.
Trust me too?
Dan, you're looking a bit sketch, but
That's all right.
you can earn my trust.
It's all right. I'll learn it today.
It's a good whiskey. You can start with that.
Okay, great.
Right, so the first question we ask any guest that we have in here is your greatest sporting achievement, not on the AFL field, but we don't, look, you're a great AFL player. You've been playing footy for a long time. Good for you. We don't care.
We've talked to a bunch of footy players. Yeah, all the same.
We have one on the show, Dan. He's right here.
Coolbenia Bombers.
So, what's your greatest sporting achievement not on the AFL field? What have you done with yourself?
My sporting career outside of footy wasn't too long or decorated.
What about as a kid? What about as a junior? I mean, I won the under-9 state championship in the hurdles. Quite quick, actually, Dan.
Right. No, well, I was a bit of a cricketer for a bit there. I played 2 seasons of cricket, and and I made a 37 ball duck once in against districts. It was hooping everywhere, to be fair, and we got all out for 20 odd.
Were you opening the batting?
I was opening the batting.
Oh, my.
And that was, sometimes I made runs. But
That is perfection.
that,
What else?
And other than that, I used to skateboard a lot, and I was quite a handy skateboarder. Does that classify as a sport?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
it
yeah,
does.
we got
1991
something
skate shot with. Here we
Yeah,
go.
all right, dope.
Not that I've ever skated in my life.
I can tray the hip at Leedy, or maybe
I don't know what that means.
you don't know what that means.
Tray flip
It's like a hip.
I
It's like
have a big, yeah, you
two
scale
sort
up.
of
Yeah.
two sort of ramps like that together. Sam knows.
Like a grind.
Yeah, good.
Nah, like
No.
a jump,
Oh.
like a fancy jump.
Sounds good.
Yeah, or maybe. I don't think I hit too many rails around Perth. Like my younger brother Ted, so I'll stay away from the rails. yeah.
Okay, good. So,
I used to,
Does that count?
I used to kickflip the 5-stair at the TAFE in Leadville.
does that mean?
Really? There,
Yep.
see?
Yep.
Gee,
There you go.
nice work.
Nah, sorry.
All right, I'll take that. I'm going to take your 37 ball duck as one of the greats. That'll actually go down as one of the greats. We had Andrew Bogut on, and he beat Phil Helmuth, who's a professional poker player in a game of poker. I put that up with that.
Yeah,
37 ball
wow.
duck. It takes skill to stay in for that long and not make a run.
Mate, it was crazy. It was crazy. It really was, man. And I hit a couple nice strokes, but all to the fielder, and then eventually I think I snicked it.
All right, I want to start with this one after that. So we always start with that question, and then there'll be a lot of people that are wondering on the answer of this, and we've built this up a little bit, a bit of a saga here on BackChat. I'm just going to get straight to it. Are you the morph suit man?
I saw this.
In your younger days, were you or were you not a morph suit man for the Perth Wildcats?
Look, I have to own up, audience. I was the morph suit man.
You were.
Yeah, you're
Please
looking
tell
right
me
at him.
everything about that.
Well,
how did that come about?
How did it come about?
How old were you?
So
how much were you getting paid?
I must healthily. It was good. It was a good gig.
Really?
Yeah, I must have been 16 or 17, maybe younger, or maybe just. Yeah, I reckon that's about spot on. And a girl that I used to see, her sister worked in marketing for the Wildcats, and occasionally she would say, "Hey, we need some morph guys."
Wasn't
Can
a
you
high.
help out?
Wasn't
Yeah.
in demand.
Nah, yeah, well, so me and the boys, I'd bring a few of the boys, and we'd go down and chill in this little nice, like really cool
The dressing
locker room. Yeah,
Really?
pretty much. Drink Gatorades and get paid about $150 for a couple hours, and it was work. It was, once you're in the morph suit, it's on.
We've got listeners all around the country. So to explain what the morph suit do, I mean, you would know better than most. Perth Wildcats games here in Perth, they're packed out, big stadiums.
Yep.
It's the best in the NBL in terms of atmosphere.
Yeah,
what
they
do
love
the
a show.
What do the morph suit men do? And do they still exist?
Yeah, they still exist. They hype up the crowd. And
They're hype
were you pre-boxer shorts or post-boxer shorts?
I think I was.
Because
You would
I
have to
think
be
I was pre. There's
'Cause
a
early
photo on
days-
my Instagram archived.
really,
Yeah,
We need
that'll
that.
tell us the answer.
there was a period of time when they first introduced them where they didn't have pants on, and I think it was a little too revealing for the family-friendly crowd. And then they thought we need to put some little shorts on them, so then they introduced the boxer shorts.
Mate, seriously, I think we were pre. I think we were pre because I remember one of my mates, Voda Vandermerver. G'day, Voda. You wouldn't be listening. He was. You could see some very revealing sweat patches in some landmarks
Right.
when he was really getting hyped up.
Because you're doing a bit. You're not just standing around clapping for the crowd. You're
Nah,
dancing,
you're
doing backflips, doing
jumping,
cartwheels.
Yeah, for sure.
High-fiving kids
Yep,
and-
absolutely.
yeah.
Grabbed the signs. There was like some signs, a little station. You grab it, the hype run across. Get everyone going, of course. And then maybe, I don't know, mix it up, put some people off for some free throws.
So that was you.
It was a fun, yeah.
I
that's me.
teased on this back chat. I teased on the podcast, teased on the show. It was a current West Coast Eagle, and that, in fact, is you, Tom
That, in
Barrass.
fact, is me, Tom
Funnily
Barrass,
enough,
guilty.
though, we put it up on TikTok, and there was probably 100 guesses before one person finally guessed you.
Yeah,
So
you were.
for some reason, you just don't
And
have
strike
that vibe
people.
to you.
Have
Yeah.
that, yeah. Well, I'll take that. I think it's not something I'm particularly,
Apparently,
carry around with me in identity.
Did you get to keep the morph suit?
Nah,
Oh,
go in
gross.
the wash and
Had to give it back.
go with what's the mascot's name?
Wilbur.
Wilbur.
Yeah.
Go with Wilbur's kit, who isn't a plethora of young men. He's a genuine acrobat superstar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
one
you're just
guy's been
carrying
doing it
his
forever. Yeah, we're
certificate.
just pretty much.
I did hear that they've recently changed because of the sponsorship change. So Nova, I think, was the sponsor at the time when they had the morph suits. That's why they were red. And now, I haven't seen this, and there's not many home games. Apparently, they're dressed as tradies because of they must be sponsored by a trade
Something
company.
workwear,
Yeah.
like King G.
So instead of morph suits, I think maybe there's like Bob the Builder's just running around. Or
Could you ever see? Look, a lot of people they finish footy and they go play waffle. They go back to the amateur leagues. Could you ever see yourself getting back in a morph suit?
Scully, my life would have to take a horrible, horrible turn. No offense to the fellow morphers out there, but some would have to go wrong, for me to be back in the suit again.
The morphies.
I haven't
Those
thought
poor
about the
morphies,
suit in a
man.
long time, man.
All right. Let's get into this. I want to just go through your career. I know we've done this on BackChat before, but I'm hopefully going to ask you some different questions, get some different stuff out of you. I'll split your career into, hope you don't mind. Now, this isn't to amplify the premiership, but it's actually a little bit of OCD by me. Pre-premiership, the premiership year 2018, and then post-premiership. It kind of works nicely numbers-wise. You were drafted at the end of 2013.
Yep.
So you were 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
I'm with you, mate. Yeah,
Because that's the year we're in now. And
and it's 4 years.
I just wanted to
Exactly.
explain why we're doing that rather than being like premiership the highlight of your career. Even though it probably is, I didn't want to.
Well, it was obviously
Yeah.
33 duck.
Growing up, we're talking pre-premiership here. You were captain of Hale, correct?
No, incorrect.
Captain
no.
of Claremont.
I was captain of Claremont, yeah.
But you played at Hale School while you were playing at Claremont.
Yeah.
So you had leadership qualities as a young kid. Was
I
footy
suppose so.
like, that's exactly the answer that I thought you'd give. Was footy that sort of a thing? Like a playing to lead man, or was footy just fun?
Footy was just fun for me always, and I've always valued relationships and my mates, and they were often centred around footy because it was the thing that I loved as a kid, and that was it for me in terms of footy, and I wasn't before I played AFL pre-premiership, right? I wasn't the best in the team. I just liked playing footy, and that's what it's always been for me. And I think giving yourself to the game like that, and just being enthusiastic and energetic about it might lend itself to people perceiving you as, having leadership qualities.
Were you always a defender?
No, I was a forward when I was young, and then I played on the wing when everyone sort of got a fair bit bigger than me. And then in year Claremont Colts practice match, must have been under 17, so I must have been underage Colts, and I played in the back pocket against a guy who was touted to get drafted and, had 2 good contests. Literally, that was it.
Who was it?
It was a bloke called Shane Yarran, funnily enough. Chris Yarran.
Really?
Chris Yarran, but he wasn't the Chris Yarran. He was a different Chris
One of the
Yarran.
Yarrans.
Yeah, and that was it. I never, ever went back ever again.
Really?
And, it was genuinely 2 sort of one-on-one contests that just happened to the ball just landing in my lap.
So, I mean, you've always been a player that plays on instinct and backing yourself in. Is that something you learnt as a young guy, or is that just what you did? Have you always done that? Have you always backed yourself in with the flight of the footy, contest marks, intercept marks?
No, I was always a good kick, and I was just a smart player, I suppose. I knew where the ball was going when I played on the wing, and before that, I was probably just a genuine good kid, good player because you're young kids. But I think that came from me and Darcy Cameron, funnily enough, in Colts, developed a relationship that we sort of went one-on-one every training after training. And he's a big boy and he's a good player, and so we'd always have good duels, and I think that's where the flight reading sort of became a strength of mine. And before that, I think you're just looking at the footy, but post that, I think that was the beginning of me sort of being interested in the art of defending.
Hopefully, if you're listening along and your sound just changed, we just had the fan turned on in here. It was a little bit hot, but it might be cooling down a little bit. In terms of, okay, that makes sense in becoming a defender. How was that playing on Darcy in the big leagues, given that you grew up on each other? I know this is maybe post-premiership, to be honest, but you kind of just triggered me into it. What was it like playing on him?
Yeah, it was special. It really was. And I love Darcy. He's a great mate of mine. We've had that relationship throughout Colts where we had success then as well. And it was a good working relationship. And to see him playing footy at the higher level, which I know he is capable of, and especially in the last season where he was starting to really take his game to another level, it makes me proud, and it's humbling to be able to know that started all these years ago and that's what it's become for us. And he got the better of me, kicked a couple of goals.
I was going to say, who won?
Nah, he got me, yeah, no doubt, as he usually does, Das. But I'm sure I'll get him one day.
Could you get your mind into him not being your mate and like this bloke's trying to beat me in a game of footy, or was it difficult?
It was difficult. It probably took a little bit longer than it should have, and it was difficult. But you do it so often each game that you do get conditioned to those feelings, and outside of footy, so you are able to put that screen up a little bit.
What's it like when you play against a mate? Are you inclined to go harder than you usually would? Are you thinking more about like, I don't know, how does that change compared to just playing on someone that you've never seen before in your life or met?
Look, I suppose there's just more pressure, and for me, I don't think that I do go harder, where Darcy is someone who does, and he would test to that. He's towed me up a couple of times because of it. And same as Cam McCarthy, we'd play on each other in derbies and we'd be great friends, and there was always that added thing of, I don't want to get my pants pulled down by my best mate and all the boys to get into me and all their mates, and I just want this to be a nice, clean, couple good duels, and everyone is in awe about you guys playing on each other at, the highest level, and celebrate that rather than feel sorry for Tom.
Are you a competitive person?
Look, I would say no, but I think that's wrong because I'm in a very competitive sport, and I think I am innately competitive. And it's actually interesting because I think society and school a little bit conditions you to be competitive, and I think it causes a lot of problems. But
you can expand on it if you want. I know you don't want to, but
look, I think we can get into that post premiership,
All right.
And
good.
He knows the format.
Yeah. But I think you have to be competitive to play AFL, and I don't think I compete for ego and for gratification of ego, but I compete for the sport or for the task, and for the fun and the love of competing, which I think gets confused with being competitive, which often is being egotistical, which happens a lot in football. And so I think I'm on the lesser scale of that, but yeah, I think you have to be a competitive to.
You like to compete, but it doesn't drive you like it would some other people.
Nah,
the competition.
I don't want to win desperately. Of course I do, but I'm okay if I don't, and I know that it's all right not to, and I know that that's the game, and that it's a game, and that it's called that for a reason. It's not.
Do you reckon that's different to how a lot of like current AFL players or any players look at it? I do. I think that's pretty unique that you're able to, I don't know, understand that it's maybe not all about winning. I don't know.
I suppose so. Yeah, definitely, really. There's lots of players who aren't particularly self-aware, and not to say that I am, but you can see it. The emotion comes from that, I suppose, and I don't know. It's a hard thing to explain.
What drives you? Because some guys, I would say that I was driven by the competition and the competitiveness and like competing and trying to beat someone. And
yeah,
I'm different to you. I know. Yeah. Like what drives you?
Well, I think that pre-premiership.
You're a dickhead.
Nah, I don't mean to be. I really do. I think a pre-premiership, it was that, and it wasn't just I wasn't particularly aware of it, and it was probably to do with more than just footy, you know, and that's why I hinted at conditioning, because you want to be good, you know, you want people to think that you're doing well and that they respect you, and you know, and I think that's what drives you a little bit into footy, and you can't be aware of that if you become really good, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you can really be competitive and apply yourself. So I think pre-premiership, it was about being the best and the coolest, and you know, trying to impress people, even though it's not consciously that, it is on a deeper level. Where I think that part of my learnings from the premiership era and what followed that with, I suppose, how I felt and how it was different, how people treated me and what that meant about my motivations, was to do things, including football and relationships and everything, for the sake of doing it and to being present in it, and not lending yourself to something else, a thought or some head noise or something negative while you're eating your nice lunch. You know, you're eating your lunch and you're trying to experience that as fully as you can, you know.
Yeah, I think that's...
Does confuse
I think,
everyone
no, it's
there?
not confusing at
No,
all.
no,
It's
it's
a
good.
unique perspective, I think.
Because often like you hear, and Tom, if you could just go a little bit closer into your mic, because I want to make sure everyone can hear what you're saying. Like people, you know, like in basketball, like the Mamba mentality of like the killer instinct, you know, built different. I'm here to win, and like that's sort of the opposite of what you're sort of talking about. Whereas like, you know, from the outside, you think guys, the best players, the best footy players are the ones who are like just have the killer instinct, that are there to like, I'm gonna do this, you know. So that's sort of a little bit different to your sort of perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I think that it's in learning that I've become this way, and I think that personality and identity is fluid. I don't think it's static, but I do agree that the best, the very best, are that way. They are that way. They are just ignorantly and aggressively set that they're just the best, and I see it with some of my teammates, and you see it in the best sportsmen.
Like who?
I see it in Elliot Yeo. Elliot Yeo is he's just the best, you know. He wants to be the best. He doesn't care, and that's why typically he's been able to find ways to stand up in big games. I think that Luke Shuey knows that he's the best on some levels, even though he's really humble, and he's probably not as ignorant to it, but he's really set on it too. Like the best players, they're just that way.
Don't let his attitude to any of this confuse you with killer instinct. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's just like a different. It's a different approach. It's a different approach. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
different.
No, like of course, you know.
But don't let the way he speaks and the way he looks at things think that he's just drifting around doing whatever. And he would never admit this. And sometimes you can't actually see it yourself. But like, he's a killer. Not that sort of killer. But like, he's not drifting around going, oh, anything that happens, oh, well, I don't really care. Like, that's how you speak. And I think people think that. Like, you're just like, oh, whatever.
There's no free will. It's
Yeah,
just
correct.
happened to me.
You just view things differently. Speaking about that, as a young defender, young player, you would have learnt a lot. You spent a lot of your first year, 2014, injured, and then playing resis in the waffle and developing. What did you learn while you were turning yourself into an AFL footballer that you reflect on now that you could maybe teach others? Like, what did you learn during your formative years as an AFL player that you look at the guys coming into the club now, some young key defenders, and you think, I can teach them that?
In terms of like craft and key defender, or
Take it wherever you like.
well, there's lots of things. You know, I wasn't really a ready-made AFL player. I'd come from this Claremont side that we mentioned, and we were young kids, and now our whole thing was to, you know, have fun and party and, you know, have a good time and rock up and train hard and play for each other, and, you know, then go back out because it'd be, you know, you win and go from there. And so I mentioned that my idea of working hard wasn't really working hard, right? That was up to lots of other boys in the team that, you know, were really good at that. But So that was probably the first thing. You have to learn where your ceiling is. And I was lucky that I came in with Bo Waters and Darren Glass and them, especially in the back line, and Eric McKenzie too, that they'd sit next to you on the bike and show you and make you do the work and make you see for yourself how much further you could go than you thought. And they make you stay with you, you know, and you just get put into that environment that you just keep expanding your capacity every single day, and then you learn that it can just keep going, really. So that was a big thing for me, learning to work hard and learning where my ceiling was. And then, you know, you've got to learn truly, another thing is what it means to represent a footy club and how much more important that is than you, and what that means in terms of, you know, how you present yourself and public speaking and all those things. And I wasn't up to scratch in those capacities either. And then finally, you must learn the craft and the fundamentals of your role, which for me is, as a fullback, which you know about, is mostly positioning. And it's the most high risk spot, I suppose. You can't make mistakes, and your positioning and your decision making has to be right all the time in split second. And so that's the final hurdle you must sort of jump over for these young key defenders. But they were, I suppose, the big things for me that I can recall.
Yeah, perfect.
How has that role sort of changed then since you first started? So you've got, you know, over time footy has obviously changed, where you had Tony Lockett in the full forward, who just parks in the square and, you know, takes big marks and kicks goals. So then how has that changed then, the role of the key defender, where there's a lot more movement and, you know, people are actually moving outside of the 50?
Yeah, I suppose there's team defence now where you're trying to, without giving away too much, you're trying to create an advantage for your side and nullify theirs. And so you have to work in defence with your teammates. And sometimes, especially at fullback, working over a distance of 40 metres with the next bloke, that's why your decision making has to be so perfect, because you're in this spot in a horrible position on the ground with Tom Lynch running zigzags around, and you've got to make sure that your positioning is good enough that you can read all the cues of the footy and your teammates and the opposition in the space so that you can make the right decision. And so I think it's played into my hands as a footballer, because I'm not, you know, just your textbook Tony Lockett defender like Eric McKenzie was, and probably Darren Glass was. But I was lucky enough that I had those blokes at the footy club while I was there, so they could teach me the craft of the key defender fundamentals.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I've got to ask about Darren Glass, because I've been an Eagles fan since I was a kid, and I feel like early days of Darren Glass used to have, like, you know, obviously he was a legend in the end, but early days I feel like just like, oh shit, Darren Glass, you know, made a lot of mistakes, but then he became just like such a I mean, reliable. He's pivotal, you know. Is that something? I mean, maybe that's just me not being aware, but like, I don't know. That's what it seemed like. He was like one of the lesser players, and then became like the best defender on the team. Like, I don't know. Is that a thing? Like, you guys both played with him, or? Look,
I was probably too young to know Darren Glass not as a champion, so I can't comment, because he was just always a gun. And I remember as well him not being the most elite, skillful player, or taking heaps of risks with the ball, or doing anything too crazy. But the role of the key defender and the role I make clear is so important, and there's so much to it. And I think one of the reasons why it takes so long is because to play that role, you must be physically developed man.
If you look back at, I'm going to include myself, but myself, TB, Gov, Glassy, McKenzie, and Mitch Brown, guys that have played key back. I can't go back further than that, but none of them have been stars. Gov's will go down as one of the best key backs to ever play for West Coast, multiple Australian winner. He couldn't even train with West Coast, let alone play. I'm serious. So like that's a good example, bad example, but good example. Like you come into the team as a key backman and you don't have TB summarised it perfectly. You don't have the skills for positioning, so you can't do that without learning it. You can't just come in and start doing that. No one can. Like you can't figure out how to play as an AFL key position backman without doing it. And so for me personally, John Worsfold playing me as a young key position player that wasn't ready to play in the AFL gave me the experience to be able to become a player, to be able to play. And Tom had the same thing. Probably at stages wasn't quite ready to play, but the times that he was given, you learn instantly. And the guys that make it are the smartest ones because they can pick up exactly how to do that. But you don't know what you don't know. And you can't, there is no vision, there is no training, there is no fitness, there is no chatting between players. Like you can't teach, you cannot teach playing key position, especially backline, without doing it. You just can't. So Harry Edwards is one right now who's coming into the competition for West Coast, who will be a very good player. He's not right now, and he hasn't been, but he will be because he's doing it and he's getting given opportunity. And like you as a fan would have seen Darren Glass. I'm sure Darren Glass was not good at the start.
I remember this.
I'm sure
a friend of mine said to me, Darren Glass is a bunny, and they got to stop playing him. And then literally he became a champion of the club.
Yeah, because you learn so much. Like every single game you play, you just learn. And the smart ones learn and then apply it. The ones that don't just become bunnies and stay bunnies and they don't adapt their game. Like Tom, for instance, would have just stayed as an intercept marking, play reading, unpositional, freak talent, but not a lot of method to his madness and would have been out of the system by now if he hadn't have adapted his game.
It sounds, I love to draw it back to basketball because what I know, but like they always
what
say...
What about cricket? I mean, you'd love to bring it back to cricket with Mitch Johnson.
Yeah, they do say in basketball centres aren't really good until they're like 28. They come into the league, they're long, they're tall, athletic, but they're not like properly established until they're... And so yeah.
It's hard. And you can't learn it. You cannot learn it.
And the thing I find still is that you can't make more than 3 mistakes a game, really. You just can't. You can have other people make mistakes that were undefendable. And
so the midfield perhaps giving an entry out of the centre bounce and Tom can't defend that.
Sometimes when the players are kicking the ball to your opponent and there's lots of space and, it's fast play, there's just nothing you can do. And that's just the case. And
everyone knows that too, coaches included.
Yeah, and so... what you're not really taking that into account, and so what you're worried about is that exactly your positioning, and sometimes you've just got to leave your bloke in the goal square or somewhere else and press and run away to someone else's bloke, and that decision always or most often has to be correct.
Yeah, you can't make mistakes, and if you do, and you do them repetitively, you get dropped, and then you get dropped enough, and you don't alter those mistakes, then you find yourself off the list.
Well, I guess it's like if you make the right decision, you could change the game, rebound, get a goal off of it. If you make the wrong one, concede.
Yeah, and if you hesitate, you're in between and no one knows what's happening, and then they just get the ball and quickly kick it over to your man, and then you are responsible.
I don't really know how we got here, but...
I love it.
Decision-making...
In the back line.
No. Decision-making for athletes, not footballers, not defenders, not fullbacks. Decision-making is what differentiates good athletes with athletes that play in the Amos. Because there's amateur football players that have the skill level and the fitness level and the strength level to play at AFL. I would say it's not that hard. Like I was never that strong, that fit that I was like, worlds above anyone. But I would say my decision-making was better than most. And I would say that would be across all sports. If you can make decisions quicker than people, better than people, like, tennis, basketball, everything, like decisions, like your brain. It's interesting.
I wholeheartedly agree. I really do. I think it's exactly the difference. And it's funny, I was having this thought the other day about the dumb footballer thing, where the best players I know, and I think it's Shannon Hearn, and I hate to say it, but I think Gov too. They're actually.
Why do we hate giving Gov compliments? Because I've figured that's what you're about to do.
He's got me too many times, that man. But yeah, they're actually really smart guys, and they really understand systems well, more broadly. Capitalism, lots of different things. Yeah, really.
Holy shit.
Nah, I really do think they have this ability to be able to visualise. Gov can't articulate it very well, but I really do think they have the capacity to visualise systems.
There you go. I'm loving this.
No,
And I
I've
guess
confused
instinct-
No,
everyone.
you haven't at all.
No,
Absolutely
Yeah.
If you can't sort of explain it, it's instinct that you just can't.
Yeah.
That you can't
That's
explain.
I think that's what sets people apart. Right, all right. That's enough of pre-premiership. I want to talk about 2018. We got okay on time here, Charlie. You know what?
We're at 31 minutes.
All right, cool,
We're going
perfect.
all right.
That's
Yeah,
good. I like it. I don't like to put a time on things, but I do like to know exactly where we are. Premiership year 2018. Let's not go to the grand final just yet. 2018 finished in a premiership, and that's what it culminated in, and that's great looking back on it. But 2018 for you as a player, talking about all the things we just spoke about, was that a year that you kind of started putting some of those things into place personally? Like you kind of changed as a footballer a little bit?
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose it's that 5 years. That's how long I'd been there by the time 18 come around, and all those things I spoke about before developed to a point where you're competent. And again, if you're throwing yourself in every day at training and in the game day, and you have that approach where your life's not depending on this, you know, this is separate to you, you're something else, and this is just your contributions to football, then you can sort of hit a bit of a sweet spot, and you go to training to train your instincts and to train those decisions I talked about, and train the moment you go from defence to attack, and you train your connection with your teammates, right, so that your instincts on game day are on. And so once you get continuity in your training and you're off field and, you know, things are sort of going smoothly, that just carries in effortlessly to game day, I think.
Okay, so 2018 going nicely. Look, I every guest I have on, I don't know why, but I end up on Wikipedia. And I know you do, Dan.
It's a good source of information.
Well,
I'm with you there.
I don't know if
Wiki
it is,
everything.
man, because I had a look at Tom Barrass, and I know him very well. One of my very good mates. Had a lot of footy with him, but I just thought I'd see some stats that maybe I didn't know. There's a sentence in there about 2018 that halfway through the season, I can't exact words, but it says Tom was Tom was effectively lost to a dustpan induced injury. So it literally says the words dustpan.
Yeah,
Charlie?
I've got it here. Injury during West Coast round 12 bye. Barrass injured his back while using a dustpan and missed the next 6 rounds.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a 6, was it? Oh,
6
shit.
rounds with
Yeah.
the dustpan.
Oh,
Sorry.
look.
What's going on
It
there?
wasn't with the dustpan, really, but that was the first time I was like, wow, okay, I can't get up.
Your back was bad.
My back was cooked, yeah.
And you were carrying it throughout, and this was like the
Oh,
the
so
thing that happened, or?
yeah, like funnily enough, what happened
Just
was
imagining Tom with the dustpan. Just like, oh, what's that?
exactly how it happened, and I had to sort of exit down with my hands onto the floor and just lie there for a bit. But effectively, my glute switched off. So when I was walking and when I was training and doing things, there was like a neural pathway from my brain to my glute that just forgot to fire and to stop firing, and through conditioning my back was firing, right, every time I took a step instead of my glute. And so it went, and there was this just pain in my back all the time because everything was getting compressed. And that was the first time that I really was like, ow, this is sort of serious. And then, yeah, it took me 6 weeks I went and saw this guy who was a guru.
You reconfigured your mechanism
Yep.
of how you ran.
Yep. And that's, I saw a guru.
Remembering this.
How do you find a guru?
So the physios, like, there's nothing presenting on the scan too crazy. Really, you sort of don't know what's wrong.
So you're saying I'm in a lot of pain. They're like,
Well, yeah, we scanned it and no bulge disc. Nothing too crazy we're seeing. So anyway, this guy, they take you to him and he goes no scans, doesn't look at anything, but he just looks at the way you move. So he'll say, do 20. He won't say that. He'll say, do as many single leg bridge squats, whatever it is, until you can't do it. And he'll just sit there and watch you with the physios and talk about, mate, your glute med's switching off here, and so look, your knee's falling in, and really take the piss out of you. It was pretty confronting a bit. It was like, right, and you're sweating.
What are you built like this for?
Yeah, and he's like taking the piss out. Like, look at this guy's arch. It's just so horrible.
Can't even walk.
Yeah, what are you carrying this bloke around for? He's just like, idiot. And so you're sweating. You're in your normal clothes, sweating in this guy's office, and he's going, "Don't stop. I didn't tell you to stop, man." And you obviously can't do it. But anyway, sorry, Pete. Stuck with me that day.
Yeah.
But
carried that, haven't you?
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
So what, do you not have aircon on or something? Like
No, nothing. No. And he's throwing rocks at you and everything. It's just like not a cool setup. Yeah. But anyway, so he looks at you and they go, all right, well, effectively you've got to start from the very start and relax your whole body. And I think this is in some way somehow developed a relationship with mindfulness, where you're relaxing everything, especially your back, and then you very slowly, standing on one leg, my right glute was the one that switched off, start doing these movements. And while you're relaxing everything, something has to go. And so if you relax everything to the right amount and consciously enough, your glute takes the load because you're doing the movement.
Yeah.
And so you just start there and sort of get into this state where you're just trying to activate a neural pathway between your brain and your bum. And then it fixed itself.
So it fixed itself. I don't have this in my notes, but I just remembered. You come back into the team late in the season, probably around 18, 19. You played almost 20 games that year. So
yeah, I've got a feeling it might have been in 2017.
What?
The dustpan thing.
The dustpan.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay.
But maybe not.
Anyway, you're in the team coming late into the season. We're playing in the same team. You actually start forward in a derby for Fremantle. I do my hamstring, and you get sent back. Not sure what you were doing in the forward line.
I'll tell you what I was doing.
What?
Getting dangerous. I was, man. I was dangerous. Yeah, I had 5 or 6 touches in the first 5 minutes. A couple marks. Yeah. Yep, I was feeling good.
I was feeling good that day as well. I was playing on Taberner, doing well. Yeah. Bang, end of the first quarter, hamstring. This is the game that Andrew Gaff was notoriously reported for striking Brayshaw on the far wing. Anyway, I did my hammy, was out for the rest of the game. Tom went back, stayed there. I came back with 1 round to go, played in Brisbane at the Gabba, and I played in the back line with Tom. So it was Tom, Gov, and myself. I asked for no stats. I'm not going to be able to pull this up, Charlie, but Tom, Gov, and myself have some a high percentage of win rate playing 3 talls. Anyway, my story goes to 2018. I was dropped for the qualifying final, and it was really a decision between playing Tom or myself. And this is the part that I didn't write in my notes, but I'm just remembering. It came down to that. They played Tom, a younger player, a less experienced player, and I was completely devastated. Like I was, I've had some bad moments in my life. That was probably my worst. That was my worst.
Is that because you knew you were good enough to like go all the way, and you thought I wanted to be part of that? Or?
It was nothing to do with TB. It was just not being in the team. It's funny when like you're competing with your mates for spots, like. I don't think 1 second was thought like, why is TB in the spot, like in the team?
But was it like, did you think we're going to make the grand final?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like,
absolutely. Played in 2015, lost 2015. I didn't play that well. Team didn't play well. Wanted that chance of redemption, and I thought 2018 was a chance. So getting dropped coming into that qualifying final for you, effectively, Jets came into the team, but it was between you and I. I remember texting you. You were Masto. I didn't speak to Masto about this because I didn't remember until I've been speaking to you. I text Tom before the qualifying final, after I'd been dropped, after I'd done cracking the shits. It was on the Friday night before the Saturday game. I texted the boys and I said, just to TB and Mast, it's all good, boys. I'm going to be back in the team and we're going to win a flag. Correct or not correct?
Correct, absolutely correct.
I said we were going to win a flag before the qualifying final, and I'd be playing with you.
Yeah. It's funny, I don't, maybe I do remember the text retrospectively, but I remember the captain's run before the qualifying final.
Oh, and I was a ghost.
It was at Optus, and we were doing body work.
Yep. There's a photo of that.
Yeah.
And put that on social.
And I remember saying to you, mate, you know, it's all good. I'm sorry, like, this is a bummer.
Yeah. I remember
And
that.
you said to me, mate, it's all good. We're going to win a flag together. I can feel it. And you know, didn't think much of it. And yeah, you know, well, it was happening, so it was like, yeah, mate, fuck
Yeah,
it.
tingles.
Yeah,
Of
That's
course.
pretty good.
Yeah, of course. And then it turned out, unfortunately, that Sheppy got injured that day, and then we never looked back.
2018. Yeah, you got anything to add to that? No. You want to do
No,
it?
I'm just enjoying just sitting here. It's good.
I'll try and dig up the text. It still exists. I sent it again. I've sent it retrospectively. It does still
So this
exist.
was
Yeah,
after
you got a screenshot.
you had a bit of a pout.
A bit of a pout. Like I wanted to. Yeah, I couldn't get out of bed. I barely got to that training session. I was completely ruined. I lost my best mate at the start of that year. He died to a cycling accident, and I reacted poorly to that. I almost gave the game up. I speak about this in some mental health keynotes I do. I went back home for the funeral, and I honestly thought back there, you know what? Why do I go back? There's no reason. I don't really want to. Ended up coming back, trying to fight my way back in the team, got back in the team, but ended up getting dropped there. And the way I reacted when my best mate got killed by a fucking truck to when I got dropped for the qualifying final, I reacted worse to the qualifying final. That is to put it into perspective. I don't know why. Can't explain how that happened, but that's how it happened. But then once I was able to get myself out of that, I had this like...
Euphoria.
Yeah, I did, really. I had this belief that I would get back in the team. You know, I didn't foresee that someone would get injured. I just thought I would get back in the team, I'd play with my mates in the grand final and win. And it was like, it was you could say it was destiny, Dan.
Without digging up do you remember why did you get dropped?
Someone had to be dropped. Jets had missed the Brisbane game, and Jets was he was like a part of the back six, and he wasn't going to get dropped, and they had to get him back in the team.
So there's certain players that are undroppable.
Oh, to a point. But like Jets and I aren't the same player. Like Tom and I were the same player. That's why it was between Tom and I.
Right.
You know, it's always a funny thing when selection happens is, oh, why is he playing? You know, why is Luke Shuey playing and not you? Well, like it has nothing to do with me. Like he's playing the midfield. People think,
And it's about the team you're playing?
Yeah. Yeah. So like I got dropped for I didn't play in the last game that I could have played in was the elimination final here where we got beaten by Collingwood. And some people have said to me, so Jack Petchatelli got picked for that game. People have said, oh, why did Petch get picked in front of you? It's like, well, he's a small, high half forward. Like has nothing to do
different
with
position.
that. You can't pull that and that.
Yep.
So like while I was dropped, I don't know. I had some strong conversation with some coaches about it though. That was for sure.
This
isn't about me though, Dan.
Yeah, no. I'm just
It is
all. You know,
it is very interesting.
It's very highly linked to
Correct.
to Tommy. Yeah.
So let's pull it back to Tommy. 2018, we're up to the flag time. Do you remember grand final week? Do you have any memories, any reflections on that week?
Yeah, I remember, so starting from the prelim final, I remember rocking up to Optus that day and being so nervous, and speaking to Dom Rashid out in the game. And, you know...
During the game?
Before the game and out on the field. And I looked at him, you know, giving him the crisis look like, you know, like, and sort of expecting him to give me the same look back of, you know, this is just too much for me. And I sort of said to him, mate, are you wigging out? Because I'm tripping. And he just said pretty much, mate, who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? Like, you know, we'll try our best, but at the end of the day, like you know, it's sort of out of your control a little bit. Like, just rock up, play role, it's all good, same as normal. And it was like, all right, all good, yeah. And that was the most nerve-wracking game for me in my whole life, because we were up by 12 goals.
Do you even touch the ball?
Quarter. I touched it a lot early, and then I didn't touch it again, and that's why I was nervous, because you just know that you're right there. You're just about to play in a granny, and you know it's just about to happen for you. If everyone doesn't get too excited about the fact that that's happening right now and keeps playing their role, and you know it was the old we cannot lose this. Like, please,
Potentially
please,
out
please.
of the moment. In the grand
Yeah,
final,
out of the moment.
You're in it.
You're
Whereas
in.
that far in front, you almost.
Yeah, it's
You're like
70
40,
to
48 points.
I think
up.
you goal in the first half.
Nah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was like 70 to 3 or something.
So surely
at
you're already
halftime.
thinking-
Well, nah, that's the thing. It's like, nah, that's not how it works. Like the competition is so tight. Any sort of, we've had 5-minute periods where they've stacked on 6 goals, you know, shaping off the half back, just coming at us, and lots of times. And so, you know, you just know how quickly it can turn, and that's why it was such a nerve-wracking game for me.
Do you want another water?
Yeah, I'd love another water, please.
He's parched.
But let me continue. So we had that game, we won it, and it was a bit like, wow, we're going to granny, and how good's this? And, you know, you think about, because we went there in 15, and you think about all that other stuff, like your family and how they're going to cross and flights and everything. And so the club were good in quickly addressing that and saying, boys, like, you know, here's the plan. The plan is to meet at this time, discuss it, was sort it all out, all good, forget about it. And going into the week, I remember still being quite nervous because, you know, we're playing in a granny and it's huge. It was, especially pre-premiership, like I spoke about, mindset. This is the pinnacle. You know, this is the solution to my fulfillment, right? It's the AFL premiership. And so, thank you.
Sammy, what a guy.
Man, Sammy.
And so I was quite nervous, and I remember, not eating much Monday and Tuesday, and Kennedy got up, and same with Simo, and they had a chat to us, and Simo, I suppose, got everyone to shut their eyes and said, boys, just shut your eyes for a second and just imagine the metal around your neck. Imagine, you know, the tug of just behind your neck here of what it feels like, and the silk, and you know, feel it in your hand and feel what it'd feel like to have one on and for it to be yours, and then park it. No more thinking about that. No more thinking about that medal. And Ken has sort of got up afterwards and said, boys, we're going over there for a game of footy. You know, there's all the grand final parade and all this sort of stuff, but we're going over there for a game of footy. And he changed the language from embrace it. Embrace the week, boys. You know, it's a big week. It's all this stuff. You got to embrace it too. Just accept it. You don't have to feel any way around it. It doesn't have to be positive. You can be nervous. You can be annoyed that you haven't done captain's run yet. You know, like, this is completely different to a normal routine. But you don't have to feel any way about it. And I think changing the language from embrace the day and the week to just accept it and understand what it's there for, that's what made a big difference for me.
Yeah, because you at 2015, what did you do for the 2015 grand finals? Like, what was your involvement in that?
My involvement was I went to the casino the night before and won $800 on the roulette. first time ever.
There was a gang of young guys in 2015 that I know were told, just stay out of the way of the boys that are playing, because pretty much don't be seen, don't be heard, just shut up. And they did.
And they're told exclusively, like, you will not be playing, just don't cause a stir.
Yeah. Correct. Like, don't be running around the hallways. You're going to be saying...
We're a different hotel, yeah, completely.
Anyway.
Really?
Yeah. But really, it was just rock up and watch. That was all.
Okay. So, like, his experience in 2015 was nothing. It was going to the casino, right? Whereas mine and Josh Kennedy's and Shannon Hearn and guys that have played in 2015 and lost badly and prepared poorly and gone through the week just floating along, had this drive that I think helped these younger guys of exactly what TB's talking about, is changing the talk from embracing it, which was just like, how good's this? Like, hey, all your family chatting to you about tickets, and everyone's your mate and everyone loves you, and it's 100,000 people.
History.
Yeah, history, and you're going to win. And that was embrace it. And that's what happened in 2015. And it was we got embarrassed. And you forget, with all the week of new things that 2015, you're there to win a game of footy. And when you don't win it, all the stuff that happens before, you look back on and you're like, that sucked. Like, no fond memories whatsoever. I have no fond memories of 2015. None. Like, they pop up on my iPhone, like, photos in the back of doing the parade. Like, wish that was deleted. Wish that didn't exist. So 28, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that for you then, like being someone more on the outside of 2015? Did you see how that unfolded compared to 2018? Go like, oh, this is different. Like, this is business now, or like, I don't know. You're winning $800 at casino the night before. That's different to.
What were you playing?
I was playing roulette, yeah, and I just got lucky, sort of 3 in a row, doubling down at the end. Yeah.
Sorry, not your question.
Yeah. No, but that's fine. Like, so do you then see like, oh, I saw how they acted in 2015. This is different. Like, this feels different, or was it just?
Look, it definitely felt different, but that was from an outsider's perspective. I only played 3 games, and it was of that era where Scoey was talking about, where you're a young player, there's probably a couple injuries, you're not really up to scratch yet, you've got some strengths, as anyone who gets to AFL does, but you're not a bona fide AFL player, and so I don't think I was truly in the spirit of the team as much as someone who'd been travelling all year, so I probably can't make that comment on how it felt. But in 2018, there was a certain special thing going on, and we were really focused on playing our roles, and we were really tight, and we just knew that we were going to win.
I'd love to hear. We have to get someone who was on that Collingwood squad from 2018.
Dioe. We got to get Dioe.
Because
Got to, don't we?
Because we've heard the
Mason Cox. We could do
heard,
Mason.
No. we've heard the
Wants Jordan, not Mason.
we've heard the perspective of West Coast, like, you know, especially after 2015, it's business. Like, this is so different. To then, it'd be interesting to hear someone from 2018 Collingwood.
Yeah,
and their perspective.
I'd agree. I've seen some live footage of like their 3/4 time address, for instance, and
There's a very
different.
There's a very good YouTube video
Yeah.
of Simpson and Buckley
Yeah.
talking to the team, going through the motions of that game. It's very good. But anyways,
Yeah, I mean, like, I think
because every team must feel the same, boys. This is it.
Yeah, like, I think Buckley's message, and this isn't wrong, but his was, this is our destiny. Like, we are here to win this, and this is what we're meant to do. Where ours wasn't really that. Ours was play your role, and then it'll take care. The result will take care of itself, and that was a bit on the mindfulness that we were kind of doing that year in terms of being present and worrying about the moment rather than worrying about the result. Whereas I think they were their messaging was about the result, about winning the grand final, which
They were predestined to do it.
which I mean they were less than a
control
goal away from doing it. So you can sit here and say, "Oh, this is the wrong thing." Well, it wasn't, because she doesn't kick the goal from the boundary.
And you're
On the
next.
boundary, and I don't win the game for the. You know, I don't do what I do. And Tom
What's
doesn't do what I do.
what's your perspective? 'Cause I mean,
My perspective
before we get to the
is-
moment
Okay,
of the match,
okay.
to the grand final morning, the lead up. Any memories? How were you mentally coming into the game?
Mentally, I knew what I had to do on Mason Cox, and I knew that, you know, it was a granny that I was playing in, and really what got me through that time was thinking, this is just going to be over soon. You know, like, there's so much at stake, and you're under so much pressure, and you've been waiting all week, all season, all your life to play. It was like the clock's ticking. It's fine. You know, I'll try my best, but in 3 hours at 5 o'clock or whatever the time is,
Win or lose?
it's done. It's win or lose. There'll be a result, and I'll know that if I do my job for that time and try my best, then I can't really feel too bad about what that result might be.
I remember Mason Cox was up and about. I think he
Richmond torched Richmond the night
grabbed.
before.
Yeah, he grabbed a few snags.
Alex Rance, go down
Yeah.
as a big
Very,
time
very
defender,
good defender.
towed him up, kicked 5 goals.
Yeah, I think was it in the grand final that he like took a couple of snags, kicked a couple of goals early, and he was like giving these to the crowd.
No, that was the prelim.
That was the prelim.
Tom kept him to 1 kick in the first half. So Tom's role on grand final day was playing Mason Cox. We were pretty role driven in that period of time.
He's a tall boy.
One
He's
kick
a
he had in the
monster.
first half and maybe 1 mark. But he finished the game with 2 goals and 7
Yeah,
marks.
he
and
got
turned
hot.
in the Eagles.
He certainly got hot. Yeah, I can't just deny. And I think Mason's a good player. I think he's got a strength that is really hard to combat. And maybe that's the way I match up on him. Other players do a good job sometimes, and, you know, gets a hold of Rancy. So that's just footy. But yeah, I suppose my role was to do that, and I knew that it was going to be all right if I did it, and I knew that I had my boy Scully behind me talking to me, and I knew that I have Gov there to help me out, and I think they knew the same. They knew that if Cox was in a bad position, I'd be coming back as hard as I could.
Any memories from the game before the siren? You know, like in terms of throughout the game.
Yeah. So there's probably there's lots of them really. But yeah, Cox obviously got some heat up, and I had to sort of change the way I played on him again. And then I got a few touches, which is rare as a key back. And I remember thinking, nah, it's all good. I'm back. And I should regress. There was one moment. People always ask, you're down by 5 goals or whatever. Hey, crazy. Yeah. How'd you feel?
Yeah.
And the truth was, not bad at all. We were in the game. It was all sweet. And there was only one time I thought about it, and the ball spilled over the back at a forward 50 entry. And Brody Mychek's running into the goals, ball's bouncing around, and he sort of dives, soccers it. And I was about 1 metre away from it. And I remember thinking when he kicked it vividly, if this goes in, we lose. I can't win. It's going to be, 40-1. It's done. And so I remember thinking that, and it went through the points and thinking, geez, lucky. And there's another moment that I remember is when they started chipping it around with about 3 minutes to go. Yeah. They've got an intercept. I think Howe took a good intercept. Yeah. Their defenders played really well that day. And he took a good intercept, and they started chipping it around. And I remember thinking then, because you don't know, it was 28 minutes or something on the clock. I remember thinking, there must be under a minute left and we're going to lose. This is just so devastating.
Yeah.
But then it came back down, and there was a little period where DeGoey and Taylor Adams had a shot on the goal from like 10 metres out that both got smothered. One got kicked into someone, the next one got smothered. And it was just so hot. It was genuine, the hottest footy of all time.
That gets forgotten about. That gets forgotten about. There's a period of play. They have genuinely not two. There's about 6 shots on goal in the space of about 30 seconds, and there's 4 smothers. Just like, and DeGoey's had 3 of them. So I don't know how he doesn't kick one. I'm on him the whole time.
Do you think if they get a point there?
Point's probably good for us. We get the ball back.
Yep.
So the fact that it was bouncing around, and then we get a little chip, like we get a chip out, and Duggo gets it, chips it out to Cripps or someone, and they kick it out, and that's when the Scully moment happens.
Yeah, that's actually why I watched it, because I remember it came up on YouTube, so I thought I'd watch Scully talk about it. And there was this chaos, chaos, and then that's when
what's the Scully moment?
Scully moment's the moment, but no one talks about me being involved in the moment.
I've got a TV moment for you too that I reckon gets glossed over.
It's the McGovern to Vardy to Ryan to Sheed. Well, I started it by doing whatever the fuck I wanted and heading to the middle of the ground while all that was happening. After that scrimmage, I just started running down the middle of the ground because with 2 minutes to go, I thought there's probably under 2 minutes. I either sit in the goal square like I was told on DeGoey, or I run down the middle of the ground and try and win it for us. And I just thought, well, roll the dice, baby. Let's go.
Young players, that is exactly what they say not to do. Play your role.
No, it was like calculated to a point. We had the ball. We're kicking long down the line to JD, who was hot that half, and I thought, I can get it. It didn't work out that way, and Gov was stuck on DeGoey. And that's when the moment starts.
But before that,
the
moment, because I did literally just watch this last week. You're sprinting down the middle, and if there is literally one kick over, you're free in the 50. Like you could.
I'm not lying about this. People think I've got mail.
You legit could have kicked if the ball fell to you. You could have ran to the 50 by yourself.
There was no one there.
There was no one. Kick the goal for a win.
No one. I was in the middle of the MCG, as you say. Dreamt of it as a young man winning the grand final and the glory of winning a premiership. And I was in the middle of the G, but literally no one around me. All that needs to happen is Jack Dowling wins his 7th contest of the half, kicks it to me, and I kick a goal.
Yeah, I know about this one. I want to hear the TV moment.
What's the TV
TV one. Sorry, I thought your moment was going to be more gloatful. I'm a bit embarrassed now.
Oh, please tell me. Bad luck.
But it was a touch. I touched the ball with maybe 5 minutes to go. We put Collingwood 2 goals up, game's over. Maybe 3 minutes to go, just before it all happened. And I've sort of gone to get Mason Cox and put my forearms into him.
I remember this.
And noticed it was going over my head and sort of turned like this and went like that.
It was a
review. And it was a review and it just clipped my fingers.
Little finger.
Oh, it was a kick.
And it went
the
straight
goals.
through the goals. And so everyone went crazy.
Did they call it a goal or they call it a touch?
Well, I don't think he was sure. I think he might have called it touch, but it went through the goals and the crowd went wild and I stuck my hand up not knowing whether whether...
It was literally little finger.
Well, because sometimes you touch him and the TV cameras just can't see it.
Yeah.
You know, they just can't see it and it just nicked it and I just nicked it.
Your pinky just went
Like
back.
just sort of these two fingers here just
Right.
scraped. And luckily enough, there was a camera right on me and it displayed the touched and it was all good.
All right, siren goes. We win the grand final. What's the reaction?
So this is a part I don't remember at all, but retrospectively, just, you know, I don't even know what you call that motion, but squeezed my fists and got onto one knee and screamed and then ran as fast as I could and went to hug Bunga, and Bunga, who is the strongest man in the world, like armed me, and so I've sort of gone to hug him and he's armed me and kept running with me under his arm, and so I've kept running over towards the rest of the backs and we all get into this big huddle and start screaming, and then I remember I was screaming so hard that I was starting to see colours and like sort of hallucinate, and so I had to like get on my haunches and have a couple deep breaths and put my mouth guard in my sock and then, you know, get on to the rest of the boys. So there was just complete and utter joy.
I've got some stuff to do post premiership, so we're going to keep moving. But I want to read. This is a little bit from you. Actually, you spoke about the feeling of winning a grand final in the podcast we did here on BackChat in 2019. So we had a question from Michael_John_Watkins. I've stolen it out of social media, Dan. Sorry, mate. So, Tom, you were criticised after the 2018 premiership for saying you felt a little bit directionless. Yet since then, your performance has been remarkably reliable. Do you think lessons can be learned from this regarding self-awareness, both for athletes and in general life? How about that? Yeah, it's a good question. I want to read you your quote. I've got your word for word here, all right? So this is from 2019. This is 6 months out from winning the flag. You've got an idea about what an experience like that, winning a grand final, will be like, and you've formed an idea from when you were a very young child and seeing Sam Butler, Benny Cousins and the like on your wall with the cup and the medal. You think it's going to give you this endless sense of fulfillment because it's all you've ever wanted. Barrass said on BackChat podcast. You go through this experience, it's so different to what you first imagined in all sorts of ways, and you notice in a month's time or in 3 months' time or whatever, it's not everything that it was meant to be in your mind. And that doesn't mean it wasn't a letdown. I loved every second of it, but it was so different to how I always pictured it that I think it leaves you a little bit directionless for a while. Now, as we like to do on this podcast, Media Watch, they took directionless for a little while. Like Tom Barrass, directionless under winning the premiership. That's why West Coast is so shit at the moment. But if you listen to that quote in context, I think you're saying you built this up for your entire life. You won a premiership and it wasn't what you expected. So it changed the way you thought about it. Yeah. How do you think about that now?
Mate, that's exactly it. And I suppose it's prompted thought into how you define yourself and your identity and what's important to you if it's not being the best footballer and the champion, you know, all those things that you first thought were sort of cool and interesting, which still have value. And it's nice to have recognition for lots of hard work. But, yeah, the difference was, I suppose, is that you think it's going to change who you are, and it doesn't. It's still you. And all the things that make you are not completely different, but they're not what you thought it were. It wasn't because you played for West Coast and because everyone, you know, respected your ability and respected you as a bloke. It's because you've got a great family and that you're nice to your mates and you guys have fun time together, and that, you know, I've learnt more that you contribute to ideas you believe in and, you know, helping people, and you also try and contribute to the arts and express yourself and create and, you know, be playful. And I think that that's one of the things I learnt through that, and what that quote's trying to entail and its ties to conditioning, which I mentioned earlier, is that lots of people, including myself, live their lives via analogy of a journey, you know. It's like, oh, you're on this journey and you know, you're in high school, right, and the year 12's coming, and it's coming. You're gonna get, you know, your ATAR, and then get to uni, and the good things coming, and goes all the way, right, until you win the flag, and you're like, it's here. You know, what is this? And you realise that it was a musical thing, and you were meant to be dancing and playing, you know, and that you should have been thinking about it as life by analogy to music, you know, where that was a lesson I was able to learn at that time, rather than being 40, where most people learn it and they have identity crisis, because it's like, wow, who am I? I'm just wasting my whole life trying to get to this place that doesn't exist. So it was a little bit of that. It was a bit like, wow, okay, you know, achievements, however big they may be, just are dwarfed by how I am or how you are with someone in the next moment. And then, you know, how you feel when you're being nice to someone, and how you feel when you're just playing footy and trying to progress the game and progress others with it, if you feel me.
Charlie, if you're on down highlights, mate, that might be a nice little spot to write. I think that's about as good as it gets, Tom Barrass.
Do you think that's part of... I mean, you won a premiership only, 4 or 5 years in. If that happened later in your career, would that perspective change at all? Or do you think, you know, you had the ultimate success at 25? How old
23, I think.
23.
Yeah.
Once Tom's down answering this, I can probably answer it.
Well, yeah, for sure. Like,
No,
I mean,
seriously.
you know, like there are people, for instance, Matthew Pavlich, who gives his absolute everything his entire career and can't quite get there. And then there are people who in their first year play 2 games and win a premiership, you know? Do you think that changes based on how long you've been around and how long you put into something?
Yeah, definitely. And if I hadn't, or we hadn't have won the premiership in that year, I'd be different, no doubt. I'd be a way different guy. And I was different. And that's good. That's what life is, you know, having experiences and trying to better yourself through what you learn and how you felt. And there's no doubt I'd be different if we didn't win the flag. And I'm really grateful. I view it as a really important time in my life, because I've become a better bloke since, and I've become more aware, and I've been able to align myself with the things that I hold of value and that interest me, you know, like those things I mentioned before.
All right, that's premiership era of Tom Barrass. So we're moving through the Jurassic and prehistoric stages. Now we're into post-premiership.
I don't know what like your plan is, but
that's fine.
But just
It's
because
in my
we've
mind.
talked about certain things, I do want to play some audio for Tom. You happy for me to do that now?
Yeah.
So there's something I discovered that I'd love to just...
This is actually a perfect way to start post-premiership.
Okay, great. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So it's just going to come through my phone. So apologies to the people who are listening, but this you'll be able to hear this.
I'm real nervous right now. This could be...
Do you know what this is?
Not yet.
This is good. This is going to go well. Keep playing it.
I'm going to keep
See,
playing.
does it like get into it a bit?
Oh, there's 13 minutes of this.
Is this a radio edit or is it extended?
Oh,
I can't say this is banging me.
Does that-
dog. Yeah.
okay.
Please
Because
explain yourself.
Yeah,
Okay,
what's happening there?
so earlier today I found a YouTube channel called Tom Barrass.
Nah, sorry, man. Not
And
me.
it's not you?
Nah.
Because the photo looks exactly like you, and it's Tom Barrass
It has
2013.
one subscriber, 2013. He's done one song, and he says, "You want some more of my stuff? You subscribe right now."
Is that not you?
Nah, that's not me, nah.
Okay, no,
Nah,
That's-
you need to have some mad stitch up plan.
because someone has.
No, not at all.
No.
Is that like a song he's claimed to have produced?
No, it's just he's only done one video ever,
Is-
and Dan said easiest TV. I said it definitely could be like.
Look at this. I just want you to look at this guy, Tom Barrass. It sort of could be you.
Yeah, I'll pay it.
So it's not
And
you.
there's this.
No, that's not me, man.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, no, that's glad. I'm glad to know that
Yeah.
you didn't release one 13-minute YouTube video of house music.
Yeah, if you can call it that.
Have you been a music guy?
Look, I love music. I can't say I'm skilled enough to produce it yet, but I can play the guitar and a little bit of piano. And
What do you mean yet? Will you do that?
Oh, look, I'd love to. On the theme of
post 2018.
yeah, on the theme of post 2018 and contributing to ideas that I think are of value. I love playing music, and hopefully my kids will be able to have the same views. And I don't know. I certainly see it as a part of my life going forward. Yeah.
Creative element, like being creative, sharing.
Yeah.
I don't know. How does that all fit with you? I know you're a creative man off the field, which is something I'm certainly not. Where's that fit in your outside of footy life?
Well, it should play a small role for sure. I've got something in the works. Little creative contribution, yeah.
It's a little exclusive for BackChat, right?
Yeah, it is a little BackChat exclusive.
It's just to confirm, it's not a YouTube channel.
It's not a YouTube channel. It's not a YouTube channel, no. But hopefully be a contribution, and I suppose the idea is that like money makes money, right?
Okay.
Compound interest, right? Okay. Yeah. Like I wonder if a creative contribution within capitalism can then lead to more of them, like I make this song, sell it, and employ people in the arts at a skate comp to play, you know what I mean? Like
content creation?
No, but can you make a contribution to the arts that then fuels and uses as a vehicle to invest more in the arts, if you feel me?
Explain more.
So I'll make 100 skateboards and sell them and put a skate comp on.
Right, so you use that money that you made from selling the 100 skateboards to put back into the arts by doing a skate comp.
I'll make this is theoretical, disco party beat like Tom Barrass over here. And it's a hit. And with that money, you can invest it into culture and community. You can get everyone in the one place and fuel things like that. There's 10 grand, 91 sponsoring a skate comp, right?
Yeah.
There's 10 grand to the winner, and there's X, Y, Z categories of tricks. There's going to be, person X, Y, and Z playing, local community artists, right? They're going to play music. There's going to be art in the walls. There's going to be all those things, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So that's what you want to, one part of Tom Barrass post footy?
Yeah. Look, I'll try and continue to contribute to the Wanderer program. I'm hoping that that'll be able to take off in the next little while. What's and we can do a good job with that. So the Wanderer program is a Indigenous driver mentor program where we work with the disadvantaged kids who don't have access to a car.
Indigenous kids?
Indigenous, but also more broadly disadvantaged kids. But certainly our target at the start is to change that, because that's where the statistically is really bad. And there's bad culture around traffic and vehicle regulatory offences. Yep. And so we're trying to help kids get their licences by giving them the resources that they don't have already to get their 50 hours. So we get a mentor with them in the car that can establish a relationship with them and help them get their hours. They'll just rock up in the car, everything's all paid for. And once they've done their hours and they've established a good relationship with their mentors and, which is hopefully the goal, the mentors can then help them on employment pathways or help them if there's any barriers to a safe home environment or offer whatever services they might need. And so that's the model, and hopefully we can bring it to lots of West Australians and Australians in the next 5 to 10 years.
Thank you, Charlie. Last year was a big year for you.
Yeah.
Became a father, Billy Barrass. What was his birthday?
His birthday was the 12th of the 10th, 21.
Sorry, that wasn't meant to be a stitch up, but whenever anyone asks me about the birthdays of my children, I rattle myself. Something. I'm sure my wife's not listening. I don't know. That wasn't meant to be a stitch up, but so you became a father, but you also lost your father last year, 2021. So I mean, that's polar opposites. That's both ends of the spectrum.
Definitely.
Talk to me about your, mental space in 2021. You're playing footy still.
Yeah.
You got a partner, a pregnant partner, and your old man passes away. What are your
You got into Hubs in 21?
Yeah, there was Hubs, and in 20. So there's a fair bit going on, certainly.
How do you reflect on that year of your life?
Look, man, I suppose you're never done reflecting on something like that. And both of those events are really big, and I don't think I can give a really objective comment on, like post-morning, where I think that must be a 5-year thing, truly. But from how I feel right now, I'm not sure whether it's the way I coped with it, but I just feel as though I couldn't have been luckier to have a dad the way I did and a mum the way I did, and, my family. Just so lucky to have these things, and for me to keep wanting more from him and, expecting that, he should be fine and that, I need him was just selfish in a way, and that, he'd given me every opportunity. He'd prioritised my education over having a nice house. He as well as mum made lots of sacrifices for me. They sent me to a private school, and really what I've done to date has been launched off that. And so I love my father and I miss him a lot, but I just feel like I couldn't ask for more in terms of what he was able to give me, and it'd be a bit selfish really if I just kept wanting, when's the end? You just keep wanting more forever.
You're able to tell Tony that you're having a kid?
Yeah, I was able to tell my dad, and it was special, and his eyebrows hit his hairline.
You have thick eyebrows, and
he was stoked for me. He really was, and it was a bit of a sad moment because I wasn't completely aware, but I knew that there was certainly a good chance that he wasn't going to meet him or her at the time, and it was hard for my mum. It was really hard for my mum, and it still is hard for my mum, and that's part of my role as son is to try and look after that. So that's why I sort of can't always comment, because it's just gonna keep changing. More so for my mum, younger brother who's only 17 as well. But that's certainly how I reflect on that little bit, and I was really lucky that I was able to let him know I was having a kid. But I do miss him, and I wish I had him to talk through, give me some advice, because you do need that. And I've got a young son now, and I didn't know how much you love this baby and how incredible it is, and the moments you share with the baby, and it's never going to remember. And the fact that I'm an old person in this baby's eyes, it's going to look at me always as an old person. And there's all these weird, crazy, experiences and concepts that you just don't know about before you have a kid. And I'd love to pick his brains about some of them.
Yeah, I agree. Big year 2021. I think maybe, look, you can answer this how you like, because this is back in footy land, but was there a chance for you not being at West Coast this year? You signed a 5-year deal in this off-season. Look, I've lost my old man as well, and I think turning things to footy is sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. Look, it's a distraction, and it's an easy way to kind of get your mind off things. But I think talking about footy kind of gets back to, I don't know, how your brain works sometimes. You're coming up to 100 games. If you are selected round 1, you'll play your 100th game for the football club, which will get your name on the locker.
Yeah.
Excited?
Super
First
excited.
one on 37?
Nah, I'm already on there for being a premiership player.
Yeah, but
as is Sellers.
Adam Hunter?
Nah, Adam Selwood.
So why did I think Adam Hunter? 39.
39.
Adam Selwood.
187 games.
I think under Adam Selwood, it's nice. Another defender, another role player.
Absolute ripping bloke. Sellers.
You have not kicked one goal. You have not kicked one. Not one. You kicked one behind. You barely had a shot.
How many set shots do we have?
He's had one behind, so
I've
he's
had
not
one
many.
behind, yeah.
I reckon you've had one out the
Bloke
full.
in front of me got nutmegged, popped up to me, panics, left foot snap, bellied it, floated away off to the side. Oh,
have you had any other
I'm
chances?
not so sure. Nah, no other chances. I had one where I probably could have had a shot, but I kicked it to the top of the square.
Charlie, can you have a quick look at Twitter, please? I asked Sir Swamp for some stats on Tom. Is Sir Swamp too busy for BackChat? He may be. It was very well received on Twitter.
I haven't seen anything else, but I'll have a look.
Have a quick look for us, because I did ask, because I know you are the second live
Goalless
statistic.
streak.
Yeah.
The longest is...
I reckon I
somebody
know.
help me. Who?
Go.
Is it Cade Kolodajny?
No, it's not Kate Kolajasny, no.
Does he have a... No, it's his brother. What's the other one? Jake
Jake,
Kolodajny.
it's not him.
So I saw him play his 100th game.
Charlie,
No goals,
please find-
out of shot.
Please find that there was a bit of a trail on Twitter with me and Sir Swam, and someone sent in some stuff about who was live leader, and it's not Tom. Tom's second by a long way, but there's someone about 130 games without a
Ooh.
goal that's live right now.
Oh, really?
All right, social media.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Your career's done. Bye-bye. Social media, here we are. That's why Tom's here. I know we covered a bit of distance in the interview, and it was bloody good stuff, but social media. You've been involved in social media before, and I know you know a lot about it. I mean, you're looking at me very blankly, but it's one of podcasts worldwide, one of the greatest segments of all time.
I remember social media, mate.
Perfect. Okay.
Don't worry about
Sorry, I
that.
just saw
Do you remember?
I actually don't. I actually do. Yes. Yeah, there was a...
Wait, what's this? Go on.
there was an incident.
Yeah, go on. Talk about the incident.
We're not allowed to talk about
Yeah,
this.
the issue is Tom is a currently listed player of the West Coast, and anything that I say right now doesn't mean anything. Like, it's not going to affect me. If I go in the paper, it doesn't really mean anything either. Like, what am I going to lose?
I don't even listen to it later.
Correct. But the incident that happened, it wasn't really a big deal. But people have been listening to BackChat for a long time. Don't even know. I don't want you to speak.
All right, we'll talk about it later.
People have been listening to BackChat for a long time. Charlie's one of them. Sam's one of them. Cat may even be one of them. Dan, you might be on. Squawk Talk. There was a bit of an incident with the last social media we did. But we're not trying to find a nickname this time. We're just going with normal questions. Happy
Make
with
sure you
that?
hang around. I just want him to hang around after we
You
finish.
never read
recording.
these? You can read this.
I can see it on my phone.
You sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
All good sometimes. One of the big time fans. Hello, all good time sometimes.
Do you have aspirations to be captain one day, or do you see yourself going into coaching when you... Like, we've talked about captaincy. What about coaching?
Coaching. This is really interesting because I was never interested in coaching and I was never interested in playing football. But I think it's taken me all this time to learn the game, and it's an incredibly complex game. It really is. And it's back to that dumb footballers thing where it's just not the case. It is such a complex game and there's so many variables. And I think now that I understand it more and I, on top of that, like the game, I think for the first time I could see how I'd bring something to the table as a coach. But that being said, I've always wanted to pursue other interests first, and that's certainly what I'll do. But if I was an old man and I was pretty content with myself, and I could certainly see myself coming back to coach and be involved in footy one day.
Empathy is a big feature of good coaches, I think. People that can take themselves out of who they were as a player or are as a person and put themselves in other people's shoes. Tom has empathy, so he may be a good coach. You got to want to do it, though.
Of course. Is there any... I mean, this isn't a social media, and I love to just get my own questions in.
You actually like taking social media over, which, like my former host, Sam Butler, it may have been the beginning of the end for him. He used to try and take over social media.
Add a little something onto the question.
Where's Butsy now? Is Butsy here now?
So as
Got rid of
a...
him. So just tread lightly.
Yeah,
my
okay.
friend.
No, it's a quick one. Players who become coaches, right, and then you play under those coaches, are you like, man, you're just getting away with doing less work now? Like, is there an element of that now that you've seen, well, now you're just sort of taking a step back, yet you still get to be a part of a team?
Oh, as a coach?
Yeah.
Look, I suppose so. And
Like
when
the hardest role of the team is probably someone who's on the field.
Yeah.
Are you like, oh man, you're just...
Not really. Like, I suppose when I first was a young man, I got into the system and you'd see players leave the system and be coaches all the time. And you'd think, they probably don't have too many other interests outside of footy, and, they just didn't have anything to do, and so they just coaches. They were sort of turtlenecked that is not the right...
No, that's perfect.
Bottleneck.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bottlenecked into coaching. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but really, at the end of the day, Will Schofield right now as I'm looking at him is in the top 0 point lots of zeros % of people who understand football and know what is right and wrong and can, you know, contribute. Like, there's not too many people who can coach because they just don't know. They don't have the skills physically to fulfill the role, and they don't understand the game of football from a bird's eye view, which is really different to being able to just physically do a role.
You can play, but you can't coach. Like, playing doesn't make you a coach.
There's also people that can't play but can coach.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So are you going to coach one day?
Probably as TB alluded to, I probably could. And that's not being arrogant and saying, oh, coaching's easy. I think probably like parts of my game and parts of me as a team man, you know, being fines master and helping organise footy trips and trying to understand people and being kind of a connector through my career, never being in the leadership group, it actually lends itself to coaching. Do I want to? Absolutely not.
If you do, could I get in on that somehow?
What?
Just hang on. Like,
Maybe some coffees or something.
Yeah. I just want to be like an assistant.
Look, man, the reason I don't want to coach is you made the comment that playing is harder than coaching. I don't actually think that's true. Like, playing is like working out.
Oh, speculating, yeah.
No. But like, you have to physically be fit and work out and go to the gym and listen and be smart. Coaching, mate, they work harder than players.
Yeah, I agree. Coaching is really hard. Head coach is a really hard job, and the assistant coaches are often the ones who have been assembled by the head coach to deliver the methods around what you're learning, and so they're actually the most skilled in some places. And both of those roles, assistant development maybe to a slightly lesser extent, but head coach being the main one, there's lots of responsibility and there's lots of pressure
that you don't see,
and you don't get the plus sides of, you know, being looked after physically, because you've got to, you know, you can't be over conditioned and you want to be right.
Matt Cutback _ couple of big, you know what, the first 4 of this social media are the big hitters. They're the big guys. Matt Cutback _
For Scully and TB, what's the relationship? I mean, it could be for me as well, but we won't go there. A relationship like between players who are often competing for the same spot. Does it get tense at all? Do you go to coaches and say, Scully, shit, he's past it, pick me instead?
That's his question with TB. You ever done that, mate?
Yeah, though I didn't say it like that. But effectively it was that, yeah, like, this guy's shit, and he's old. And,
Yeah,
you know,
There must be guys, though, that...
I'm going to, you know, be the captain and that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, you know, not really, I was completely lying.
People will be like, oh my God, is that what he actually said? He's being sarcastic, everybody.
Yeah. It's fine, like, because it's that way from the start, and maybe it's different in other clubs, but West Coast have always, since I've been there, had leaders to create an environment of healthy competition. You know, you're competing for my spot, but with me, you know? And so we're sort of, there's a good analogy, you go to war to go to war. So you're sort of competing against each other all the time, me and Scoey, but really we're all in it together, and that's because we're all going out there together at some stage.
Yeah, I view it the same way. Like, all my best mates through footy have been in the same position as me. Like, so Matty Spanger, who we had on this podcast, played in exactly the same position as me. And he probably, like, honestly, he probably got traded because I was an up-and-coming defender. I was best man at his wedding. Tom, Jeremy McGovern, my best mates. Eric McKenzie, Mitch Brown, we were drafted together. We all played in exactly the same position. So...
Well, when you're all together, it's so insular, right? You're all
I don't know. Like, when I got dropped, like I said, like, it was my worst moment in my life, not my career, my life, when I was dropped before that qualifying final, and it was because this guy was picked before me. But it wasn't. My reaction wasn't because of this guy. It was like the coaches, the club, myself probably first and foremost. I wasn't good enough. The person you're competing against comes 4th or 5th, and it's kind of irrelevant because you're all trying to do the same things, right? That's kind of how it goes. Supertramp _ Bryce. Supertramp _ Bryce He's the man that was tripping around Australia. Met up with him over grand final period.
Huge.
Good man. And we're giving him a bit of love here.
G'day, guys.
G'day, super.
Super.
Hope you're all well. Well, we are. Scully, I remember I asked you a question along the same lines in reference to the last time TB was on the OG BackChat.
I won't give it. OG BackChat, appreciate that, but also we've moved on from that.
Talon time.
This is a far more impressive production.
Thank you,
What's going on there?
Appreciate
No
it.
offense,
So one for
Thumper and
Tommy.
Butsy.
How have you managed to still get the most out of footy and continue to find fulfillment from the game after achieving ultimate success so early in your career in 2018?
Well, super.
Covered a little bit.
Yeah, we've covered that a little bit. But I suppose it comes through personal development and trying to be the best version of yourself and trying to improve all the time. And often that goes laterally and it means university and it means, philanthropic contributions and other things. So I think you've got to understand footy for what role it plays in your life, and for me it's a sense of community, and it's a bunch of boys that I love, and the relationships, not just boys, around the club that I truly cherish and I truly value. And so I suppose the more aware of that environment you can be and why it fulfills a role in your life, the more you can give yourself to it, if you know what I mean, and then therefore improve and find fulfillment in it and use it as a vehicle to help you with your other interests that are lateral to that, and understand that, there is value in being in that environment.
Are you okay with never winning another premiership again?
Told you to be careful, mate.
No, absolutely not. I'd love to win another premiership, but for the grab by
No grabs here, mate.
No, there's no grabs.
by
Legit,
Anthony DeCilio, whatever his name is.
Segly.
Yeah. Of course it would be okay, it's just a game of football. It's a game where someone gets a little pump out and inflates this leather thing, right? And someone dresses up in orange and everyone goes to a suitable field, and as soon as the guy says, hey, that's none of that, it's too high, everyone stops and runs in a different direction and continues to try and get that ball through the big sticks, right? And that's what it is, and that's great. It's the best game ever. It's physical. There's so many spectacular events happen in our game, right? And it needs to be approached with certain respect, and I try and do that all the time. But at the end of the day, it's just a game. No one's dying. No one's really, doing anything horrible to someone else, or there's nothing that's truly disturbing. It's just a game of football, or truly incredible. It's just a game.
Yeah, Charlie, highlights. Thank you. I'm not going to say who this is from, but Dan, so you know which one we're up to. It starts with when you were a young lad.
When you were a young lad growing up in Scarborough.
Yeah.
Shout out to Scarborough.
It's a shout out to Scarborough,
Right near the
absolutely.
beach. Did you have a favourite park to hang out at, or / tree to climb, or even tree to hide under when it was too hot?
Yeah. Yeah, there were lots of trees like that around Scarborough, and it's a bit of a shady place. And
Literally.
yeah, and so, me and Jared Hardesty and,
Well done.
and the boys.
How did you know that was from him? That was from Jared.
Was that from Jared?
That was from Jared.
Oh, well, we would always cruise around on our skaties, and, we'd get hot, as you mentioned. We'd be skating ledges and kicking the footy, and you'd always need to find a nice shady place to rest your head. And sometimes Pete Reserve was that place.
Okay, very good, Jared. Thank you very much for your contribution. Lotus 11 or Lotus 11.
Lotus 11. I love that. That's what it is.
Yeah, great.
My friend and I have always thought Barrass looked like a guy who would really love seafood. Like he would just go to town on the buffet at a seafood restaurant. Can you please confirm it? Confirm if our suspicions are correct.
I have to say, your suspicions, Lotus 11, Not correct. No.
Really?
Yeah. Like, of course,
Big
I like
stuff here on
fish.
BackChat.
Yeah, like great fish, craze. You know, I don't discriminate against many foods.
Craze. He signed the 5-year deal. He's
Yeah, Marin, all that. But nah, just it's not my preferred cuisine. Like Lotus Levin may have thought. Nah, yeah, not at all.
Sure, he'd be disappointed. Thought you got stuck right into this seafood buffet.
Well,
Not today. That's fine. That's fine. No needed. No more needed. T.money97.
T-Money.
You want to replace that dot with an underscore? I reckon you're right on the money there.
Tom Barrass used to live next door to me when he was younger. Cannot for the life of me explain how mad we used to get at him because he would always hop our back fence and rummage through our garden, usually stealing the onions off my father's prized onion tree.
I feel like onions don't grow on trees.
I thought they grew on a bush.
Okay, continue.
I'd like to know if he can explain this bizarre behaviour and why he thinks he was entitled to our onions.
I want to
Who's
know.
going to be the best social media?
I want to know who's throwing out these accusations.
We said T-Money 97.
Sorry, you've just missed that. Onionizations.
Onions, I'm sorry.
Nah, well, seriously, we had two neighbours. One was Irene and Kevin / still is. One's a botanist, and other one's big training girl, lovely lady. G'day, Irene and Kevin. And the other one were a bit I don't know who they were, but
Were you stealing onions
Nah.
from
It's
trees
gotta be
or the
the
ground?
box.
I feel like
I
onions
think
grow in the ground, right, Charlie?
I'm going to have a look because I feel like
Yeah.
there's no
There's no
Do you
shrubs.
dig them out? I think you dig them out. They're roots.
Yeah, they're
It's a
roots.
root.
yeah, see, there you go.
How do
There's
you pick an onion?
well, you
I thought it might have been a
I
stitch
reckon
up in
it's
some
a
description. You
stitch
don't know
up.
it. You don't know.
I don't know what they're talking
So no
about.
onions as a
But
kid?
I could have been too young to remember.
Hold on. No one makes up that somebody is stealing onions.
Well,
Rummaging around.
yeah,
I
garden.
believe,
makes
did
sense.
they say picking onions off my father's prized onion tree?
They did say onion tree.
Yeah.
And I've got a picture here, and they're literally in the ground.
There's no
There you go.
So you're ripping up a
Who is it? I want to know their
T-Money.
name.
T.money 97.
T-Money.
I'd like a follow up that
Roll
from
up.
that T-Money. You said it, we read it. hello@backchatpodcast.com.au. You follow up with some more descriptives, and I'll put it to Tom a little later in the week. Underscore, I think it's double underscore, Charles underscore sharp 4 underscore.
What's the best 3 non-fiction books you've ever read? Also, do you want to start with that?
Wow, yeah, let's start with that.
I thought you'd like this one.
Wow. this non-fiction. Oh man.
I know you've got some.
I've got lots, but
You're a book guy?
nah, I'm not a huge book guy, but I am a non-fiction book guy. I don't read fiction, even though I've heard it's great, but I've just typically stay to non-fiction. One of the things that I read that I think is really, really good is called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant.
Oh my God.
Which is like so it's just a Twitter conversation about this investor, right? Naval Ravikant, angel investor, started up, got in on Uber, got in on Tesla, I don't even know, just like
Crypto.
knows.
In the
Nah.
same areas as Jack, like from Twitter.
No,
I don't know.
Jack invented Twitter. This guy's just putting money in.
No, yeah, well, effectively, nah. So yeah, it was in Facebook, invented all the shit.
Yeah.
But
You can swear. Absolutely.
Okay.
We've been swearing the whole time.
okay, cool. So anyway, he sort of breaks down the ideas behind wealth and how to create wealth and how that's separate to happiness. But it's a really cool, interesting conversation. Twitter conversation, really.
Right?
I love it.
I'm taking that.
That-
That's the
with
top
that-
three.
yeah,
That's
that's
number
That's
one.
cool. Yeah, that's a good one.
Do you want to ask the second part of the question? Look, we don't have time for this full answer. We don't.
Okay, I'll give
but
it
just
real
add-
brief.
Oh, gosh.
Keep it brief.
Keep it 25 seconds.
Okay.
All right, you ready? Also, do you think capitalism has peaked and modern civilization is in decline?
Yeah, I don't think it's peaked. I think it's going to keep continuing, and I think, wow, this could go viral. Look, yeah, I'm not going to predict the collapse of society, but yeah, the wealth gap's getting bigger, and lots of extreme weather events from capitalistic interests, and I'm not going to.
So is modern civilization inclining or declining?
Declining. I think, like, obviously there's going to be more people and there's more things and technology, but I think eventually it has to even itself out, and that's not anything other than like a zero-sum game where it's like you can't just turn all the knobs of capitalism for 100 years and pillage the earth of all its minerals and then not expect some sort of repercussions, balancing extreme weather events, famine.
This is why I wanted to ask the question, Dan.
Yep, no, I love it.
So I don't want to say that,
It's your opinion. Don't back it up. It's your opinion. It's fine.
People get a bit
That's okay.
scared about doomsday predictions,
It's not a doomsday prediction.
Let them.
Last question. Sam is Urban, one of our own.
Okay. Have you
Samuel, our graphic designer.
Yep, Sam Wow.
Is this from Sam Wow?
Yeah, it is.
Who is literally in my phone as Sam Wow. Anyways, have you had any job inquiries from having spoiling
What
on
did
your
you just say? Spoiling. Spoiling.
Spoiling. I thought there was an R in there.
Why would there be an R in there?
Spoiling.
Spoiling.
Do you know what spoiling is?
Yeah, well,
Let me ask that.
Well,
This is the
definition.
last question of Social
Spoiling.
Media. Sam is Urban.
Okay.
Have you had any job
Job
inquiries
inquiries.
at having spoiling on your LinkedIn? Do you know what we're talking about?
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I thought it was quite funny because, it's like, what skills do you have? And it's like, well, I've got one.
Spoiling.
Yeah, spoiling.
Show us your spoiling fist. Yeah,
Or this one, depending on what side of the ground we're on.
yeah.
You're bilingual.
Bilingual fister, yeah.
Oh, this is disintegrating. We're going to finish this up. We've got two. You send it, we read it, Stan.
Okay.
You send it, we read it. What do you reckon this segment is? You send it, we read it.
You send it, we read it.
Yes.
What do you reckon it is?
What do you mean?
What do you think happens in this segment? It's called You Send It, We Read It. What do you think happens?
I think they send it and you read it.
Oh, my man.
Absolutely jailed it.
My man. You send it, we read it. We got two. We've actually got three, Dan. I will mention at the start of this.
Yeah, okay.
Our
Let's go with
third. Like, it is one of the most comprehensive breakdowns of the 2018 Grand Final I've ever seen.
in history.
It may be the most comprehensive email we've ever received on BackChat Sports Show in the history of the game. And it deserves its own segment. So we are holding B. Eddie. I feel like B. Eddie, Benny Boy. Ben has a social media handle that I can't think right now, but he has been a big supporter of BackChat for a long time. Ben has broken down the grand final
I'll show Tom, so have a look.
in the only way that you would break down the grand final.
Just moments.
Moments of
There's 23 of them.
Moments of Will Schofield and what he's done in the 2018 Grand Final. I completely love it, but we're not going to do it right now, okay? Because it's going to take a while, because there was some moments.
Yeah, there's lots.
So there's two more. You send it, we read it. And as you said, Tom, they send it, we read it. This is from Luke.
Hey, fellas. First-time writer and long-time listener.
Thanks, Luke.
Here's a question.
This is from last week. We didn't read this last week, but as we do,
gonna skip
you
the
send it, we read it.
Well, should I just read the whole thing?
Sure.
Okay. Question for Mitch/Will. That's Mitch Johnson. You're not Mitch Johnson, you're Tom Barrass, but that's fine. We're going to read it anyway. In a bit of a two-parter, maybe easier asking separately. I remember watching a segment on Mitch back in the Channel 9 days where at one point you, Mitch, stated that during the tour of South Africa, you hoped for an injury after a rough time of things and wanted to escape playing. However, you wanted to later go on and have you'd go on and have arguably the greatest Test series of all time only a few years later. How are you able to create such a turnaround? Moreover, have you, and this is probably both to you, Will/Tom, have you ever had a time in your career where you wanted to be dropped and get away from AFL? One thing I noticed watching you is that you went from an exciting running halfback to one of the best one-on-one defenders in the league. Was this planned or required adaptation?
Read the rest of it.
Can you get Dan to read this? It's hilarious listening to him fumble. Massive fan of the pod, Patreon member, and haven't missed an episode. Cheers, Luke. Luke, bloody legend. Okay.
Let's break this down.
Let's simplify it.
All right, so the first part is about Mitch Johnson potentially saying he wish he had an injury so he could stop playing effectively. Have I ever had that? No, I haven't ever wanted to be dropped, and I was dropped enough to know if I wanted to be dropped or not, and that was not me ever. So I'm going to cancel that out, and you don't have to answer that either, Tom. But
You're too young.
You want to answer it?
Nah, it's the same for me, man. You always want to play footy.
So, Will, have you ever been wanting to be dropped? Went from being a halfback running defender to the one-on-one. I appreciate that one of the best in the league. Was that planned? Yeah, it was. 2015, that pre-season, that off-season, I went from 88 kilos, 89 kilos playing to 97 kilos. I put about 10 kilos on in one off-season.
That wasn't from the beers.
That was not from the beers. I turned myself into a key defender. I used to be a running halfback defender, and I turned myself into a key defender probably for no reason, because Eric McKenzie and Mitch Brown were first-pick defenders. Eric McKenzie did his knee in the preseason at Mandurah, and then the first round I was not picked, and Mitch Brown did his knee. So I'd put on 10 kilos for apparently no reason, and then suddenly found myself as the first key defender. So that was the year for me. I asked Tom about 2018. 2015 was the year. Look, I was almost 10 years into my career, but that was the year that I really pivoted from this rangy halfback running around, who knows what I was doing, to, right, he's a key defender. He plays with his man. He beats his man. That's what he does. So was it planned? Yeah, it was. And it was from Simo, probably not rating me as this rangy running defender, and wanted some backup at a position that ended up me being kind of the guy. So yeah, it was planned, I suppose, but then it was lucky because I really was like a third string defender at that stage of my career. And then back on kind of what I was talking about, I was able to change my game with intelligence and thinking about the game and how I went about it to kind of doing that, I suppose.
Do you remember the last goal you kicked? Was there a moment where you're like, okay, I'm no longer doing that?
If you're talking about moments that I'm no longer doing, I remember one of the last things I did on the AFL field, and it will summarise my whole career, and no one will know about it other than me.
Yeah, good.
So we played in the Gold Coast. I think we played North Melbourne, and they put up. Not Ben Brown.
Big fan of Ben Brown.
He's my buddy, and you know he was my buddy.
No comment.
So just very good. Correct. Yep, that's the answer. Correct. We played North Melbourne. They were staying at the same hotel as us. Pretty much their season was done. They were delisting players like in plain view. We're all
Is this when they're
This was in the hub, 2020.
Okay, sure.
Right, so they're delisting players, and people, I could see them walking past my hotel room, like they've been delisted. And we played them on the last round of the year. I played, it's my last ever AFL game. And there's this one contest, I kind of got in a wrestle with a bloke, and it was bloody hilarious. Gave a free kick away, and he was that frustrated that he'd given a free kick away because I'd kind of tangled him up in a way that he didn't even know how it had happened. And free kick goes, and I just gave him a little lip in the air and said, "Do you like that one, big boy?" And he flipped out and he pushed me to the ground, and we got a 50-metre penalty. So I got a free kick.
Did you dive?
50. A little bit, yeah, a little bit, yeah, absolutely. A little bit of mayo, not a full dive, just a bit of mayo.
Yeah, you got to.
So the umpire says
the
it.
umpire know.
Little
Yeah.
yelp.
50-metre penalty. This guy, I don't want to say his name in case I get it wrong, but this guy wasn't a smart guy. It was a forward ruckman, and none of them are smart at all because they're not good enough to be in the ruck and they're not good enough to be a forward, so they're a forward ruck. Right? No comment from Tom on that one either. But that's how it goes. So he's running in front of me, and the rule is you need to get out of the way. And I'm running faster than him. He's still blocking me. He's pushing me. It should have been another 50.
To not get the double 50.
I would have had a double 50 shot on goal. Yep. Anyway, umpire, silly behaviour, not playing with the plan, doesn't pay another 50. I brush him aside, lace up a forward, kicks the goal. That was one of my last kicks in AFL. And that summarises my career probably completely. Fought, won a contest, won a free kick against, lipped off at the bloke, got a 50-metre penalty. Should have probably been given a bit more by the umpire, but wasn't. Still did my job. Team kicks the goal. Thanks for coming, Wilson.
Goal assist.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's no question for you to finish off that Houston that we read it.
No, that's great.
Last one. And there's nothing for you here either, Tom, but you'll appreciate this because I think Phil will feel the same way. Philip White Tiling, just Phil is fine, Thank you, Phil.
Is this in you send it, we read it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, give me your laptop because I'm struggling here with my phone. To Dan, Will, and Charlie.
And Charlie.
Phil includes me a lot, and I really appreciate it.
And Charlie.
Yeah.
Just like to say I'm really enjoying the podcast. The guests are always great. I enjoy the question, what have you achieved outside of your sport? Which was nothing.
Whack. Dan goes whack.
As you get a whole new
What have you ever done?
We haven't brought it up the whole podcast, but if you want to have a look at that while I'm reading this. Just like to say I'm really enjoying the podcast. The what have you achieved outside of your sport?
You want to have a read? You're right.
So to each guest. P.S. With Valentine's Day fast approaching, could Charlie do us all a favour and leave some women for the rest of us?
I think he's overestimating me there.
I think Dan's misread this email by a long way. To Dan, Will, and Charlie, to say I'm really enjoying the podcast. The guests are great. I enjoy the question, what have you achieved outside your sport? As you get a whole new side to each guest. Thank you, Tom. P.S. With Valentine's Day coming up, could Charlie do us all a favour and leave some women for the rest of us? Charlie.
I don't know what he knows that I don't.
Look, mate, we know you're on a hiatus down in Albany doing...
Look, you got to wait till Farmer Wants a Wife comes out to see
I'm looking very much forward to that. Tom, that is the end of today's session. Did you have a read of that trophy?
Yeah, I was going to throw it in that bin there. But
I genuinely told you this would take 1 hour. You've been here for a lot longer than an hour. We appreciate your time.
It's flown by,
Appreciate your honesty. And thank you for coming on as a guest here at BackChat.
Mate, thank you all for having me.
Very good. If you want to find us, you know the socials. BackChat, _. Thanks very much, Sammy. You hate it. No worries. YouTube, BackChat. Reddit, don't know what's going on there. Something about BackChat, you'll find us. hello@backchatpodcast.com.au is the email. backchatpodcast.com.au is the website. What am I missing?
Nothing.
There you go.
Absolutely jailed it.
We're done. Thanks, Tommy.
Thanks, guys.